Welcome, everyone, to the Council meeting. This is Council number 2, which means we have some new players, fortunately.
Funny.
Listen,
Lighten up the moment.
listen. You said you wanted him to take us seriously, so fucking lock it in.
I am the mayor, twice elected, Maximilian Thoroughbred. To my left, TJ Walker, the Che Guevara of our times. Here we have Solomon Walker, who is a lawyer, and just a lawyer. To the left of Mr. Solomon, we have Philippa Canter, returning medical liaison. To the left of her would have been Alan Crane, but he's very sick today. And then we have Cleus Cornwood on the other side of the table, Murphy Braun, a judge slash lawyer, a long time standing. And we have my re-chosen chief of staff, Siobhan Thoroughbred. And welcome to the second Council of 8. First and foremost, we will hear the request of our specialized divisions, wardens of Dogtown, Bobby Charles and Carmine Costello.
They're singular now. It's the Baron. Pillager. Long may he reign.
What?
Did you give up your power?
No, it was taken from me.
Taken by yours truly.
He was a worthy champion and he took the title, so...
No, he wasn't a
Baron
worthy champion.
Pillager.
No, I made him the bear. No, stop. I started the war and I made him it. No, he wasn't worthy of it. I just chose him, Carmine.
You guys can LARP like Pillager is your boss, but you guys are, so far as the Council of 8 concerned, the barons of Dogtown.
You're gonna Lisan Al Gaibas? You're gonna force a title on us?
I'm not forcing a title on you. That is your title.
Yeah, you know, I'm fine with the title, actually. I didn't mind.
Is Dogtown considered like a sovereign area?
Necessarily sovereign, just an area in which the law does not apply. A specialized recidivism
Why
deterrent.
did you laugh when you said specialized? We're the best you have, Mr. Man.
Yeah, I know you are. The barons of Dogtown, Bobby Charles and Carmine Costello, are here to quest certain things of the Council of 8, some of which are not entirely unreasonable.
As most of you may know, we have a large amount of people that are in my institution for life. Does everybody know that? People that are going to stay within my walls for the rest of their natural life, and they're never going to get out. We also have a large amount of people that are in debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Carmine, you take over.
Thanks to...
Take over after 2 seconds.
Thanks to the previous members of 8, I guess there was a legislation pushed or something that I wasn't privy to. A debt system, prisoner debt, where if you're in the negatives, you have to work your way out of it. And we've had a few recent stays. It's a little finicky, but we're working out
the debtor's prison, something that the mayor's office was vehemently opposed to because it infringes upon the rights and freedoms of the people of Los Santos.
Are you politicking
It was a
right
state-level decision.
Are you? This was your right. Who's taking the fall for this?
Shut the fuck up.
Are we
Let me
taking
get
the
to the
fall?
meat and potatoes.
It was John federal government that did this.
Yeah!
Yeah, we didn't vote on that, just so you know. Anyway,
Yeah, we did not vote on that.
No, we didn't. Yeah.
Thanks to these changes, the state funds is going to be up good. And I believe with this new addition to our station, we are more valuable to the cohesive functionings of the government, considering we will be contributing to most of your budget.
Let's not say most of your budget.
peasants-
Basically, all of your budget's coming from the
80%, and that's being conservative, okay?
Wait, you guys think that people working off their debt in prison is making the state account go up?
It's actually doing the opposite.
What?
What?
A deficit, Carmine.
What?
Yeah.
But they're working.
Yeah,
that's
but
good.
We
Okay.
love
Free
job
produce.
creation. We love job creation.
We're subsidizing their fines, Carmine. Do you know how this works?
You guys don't get money?
And we gotta pay to keep them in there on top of it.
You guys gotta pay to keep them in there?
That's actually been a thing for like 70 days now, actually.
Regardless, we are society's safety net. Without us, tyranny would reign supreme. We are the consequences to bad people, so we're useful. So we're here to ask for more. We're useful, so we deserve it. We've earned it. Yes, we have. First thing we'd like to ask for is more influence and more leeway when it comes to activities outside the prison with this new influx of inmates. Certain tasks in the city that needs work done. A healthy number of willing participants that can help with this. We'd like maybe contracts from the council. Work contracts, sewer contracts. I heard the idea came up once or twice before. We'd like to motion for something like this to be implemented.
Are you looking to make money off of these people?
Yes.
No.
No, Carmine, we are. Yeah, yes. I want to make a lot of money off of their stuff. They're
Okay.
in there for a reason.
Being a guy who killed 70 people, legit murder. I'm not opposed to you profiting off of that person because otherwise, it's just kind of wasting money existing in prison. The question is, should you reap the benefits you two, or should the benefits be bestowed to and for the good of the city? For example, I could totally see these shackled inmates with their trackers out on the street cleaning up trash. Okay, and that trash is converted into reusable materials, creating repair parts for vehicles, which is a big shortage right now. What do you think would be the best outcome here?
Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, we've been bled dry. We get paid a measly $500. So God forbid we supplement our income with some more scraps. It's not like you pay us an arm and a leg like you pay all these other departments.
We have been earning less than you up until today there,
would you like to talk about EMS and doctors over there?
Well, they earn less
don't
for
go
a
playing
reason,
pity
'cause
there.
Well, they don't put
No,
their
no, 'cause
lives
you
on the
guys-
line
'cause
like
you
we
guys-
Oh,
do.
yeah?
We deal with animals.
Oh, yeah?
An entire population.
I have a compromise, Mr. Bear.
Yeah, let's hear your comp.
I was thinking 50-50.
No!
If it was 50% to the state, 50%.
Oh, you guys take a sidebar in the fucking corner.
Yeah, let's
for
take a
second, okay?
sidebar. Let's take a...
What?
Are you crazy? Take the whole pie. What do you mean 50-50? Why are you compromising?
100%!
We can hear you talking. That's
We
not
want
the corner.
100%.
You guys know what a fucking corner is? It's where two lines meet.
Sidebar is
Wasn't even a
over.
side-
We've come to a decision. These are scraps. This is not going to make a lot of money, okay? The state...
It might.
No, and if...
It will. It will.
Well,
Speak up, please.
why do you think... Why would we work them to the bone if we know we got to share their fucking harvest with the people?
Because
The
you're wrong?
police, too? I fucking hate the police!
All right, hold on. How,
We'd be
how
willing
much do
to
you actually
compromise.
anticipate?
We'd be
Like,
willing
What do you make? What do you think?
$500 an hour, and it all goes into bullets because I got to shoot
more
these
than that.
motherfuckers every day.
It's like 600.
$1,000 for 30 bullets. Radios are $2K a piece. Civilian radios are absolutely dog shit. A gun is $10,000 a piece. A wrench is $250, and we shoot a
You
lot
guys-
of ammunition.
You guys have weapons licenses?
I do.
I used to have one.
I am surprised you still have yours, Carmine. I'm going to be honest.
Well, I'm a competent man who knows his rights. Mr. Mayor, I'd be willing to help supplement the city's account if we benefited more from the city's coffers. We got to be incentivized. If we're giving and we don't get nothing, and what are we, mules? We're not inmates. We're free men.
I have a compromise.
Give us an armory and guns and a
Nope.
bus and
Nope.
a helicopter
Maybe on the bus.
and a
Nope.
jet.
Can y'all give him a separate radio?
There technically is a DOC radio. It's like a channel 15, right?
Yeah,
No.
we use channel 15.
What?
Before the
Cornwood,
police
Radio's a
really
whole
decided-
separate
decided-
issue.
Before
When
the
is it-
police decide to fuck us every time we fucking have one because we don't want to pay $2K every 8 hours for brand new fucking radio.
I have a formal complaint to make to you, Mr. Mayor, too.
Okay.
The police forces made a joke of themselves. Do you know they're policing the garments Bobby wears as if they're weapons of mass
Did you
destruction?
know that,
As if he
slacks?
holds nuclear weapons within his pockets?
He ripped them off of me. And
Huh?
I currently have a civil case about it right
Yeah.
now. He walked up to me and he ripped off my pants, threatening me with arrest, leaving me in my undies.
Yeah, technically, those actually are the PD issued pants. Yeah, it's part of our PD uniform.
It's a part of
I
my
found him
DLC
not
uniform.
on the
It's
other
DLC
charges,
issue.
though.
Look, I'm going to be honest. If the reason people get in trouble for wearing police equipment or have, for example, having lights and sirens on their car is because it confuses the average person about who is and is not a police officer. I'm going to be honest right now, Mr. Charles. There is not a single thing about you that would make me go, whoa, this guy is a cop. Definitely not the fucking pants.
That's what I said in
Finally,
my
some
decision.
sense.
That's why I found him not guilty.
Now, Council of Eight, we have a sort of decision to make. Let's go around the table and figure out if we would like to benefit from slave labor or if we should leave that benefit to the barons of Dogtown. They do have a fairly high operating cost over at Dogtown. Even though we are not giving them very much, it would be good to see that they have the opportunity to kind of enterprise a little bit. I think that's fine. Could you guys demonstrate the shackles?
Of course, Baron Pillager, do you consent to the
No, we're doing it
shackling?
on you, Bobby.
No, Baron Pillager, yes or no? Oh, Carla volunteers. Get over here, Carla. Make sure you get all this in film.
I love being shackled.
Oh, here,
You're my
Council of Eight,
sister-in-law.
we
Go,
have
go.
modern level
Oh, sorry,
technology.
not like that.
You're my sister-in-law, Carla. Carla has been shackled. Now watch this.
Ow!
You see
Okay.
that?
Ow!
Wait,
We just do this over and over.
You just shove them? Is that
Oh
what
my
you're here to
lord!
No,
Defeated, you
we're here
guys
to
are
demonstrate
That's
how.
what you did to me, sister.
No, no,
What
no,
you
no,
did.
no.
Is that
Listen, listen.
All right.
Is there a point
Demonstration, we
You're
got it. We
pushing
got
it,
it.
Bobby. You're pushing
All
it.
right, hold on. So what can you do while you're shackled?
What we're here to demonstrate is to show you how pacified they become.
I'm gonna get you.
They shackled me yesterday.
Ah!
And these people that are in prison for life, they have trackers, right?
Of course, yes, we can. We can put trackers
Okay.
on.
So my stipulation would be, so long as these people have shackles, and so long as they are being tracked, I have no problem with you guys taking them out to do sanitation work. That's the only thing that I would want to see them doing.
Once this is all drafted, I want to add something to it. When they're out there, they still fall under our purview, and I want them to still fall under Dogtown procedures, even out there.
I am okay with that as long as you're not breaking the law. For example,
Just localize
like
to
shooting them in the street, I would not be okay with.
No, we do.
Mr. Mayor, sometimes these things are necessary. These people,
Mr.
you don't
Mayor,
understand. They're animals.
Papa, you can
They
utilize
are.
the police if they're
They're
enough of an
mistreated.
I don't need
issue.
the police to do my own job.
We don't need. Yeah. Hey.
That's another issue that I have. There might be a situation where the police has to intervene in what you guys are doing out on the street. Maybe your lifers are being robbed because they're running sanitation or some shit.
Well, good. That's nobody loses anything from that apart from them. They should have
You
thought
do.
about that before they committed crime. Oh,
But you're the one who wants the money. Yeah, hold on.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
would.
no,
And how are you going to keep them from getting kidnapped?
they
that's
have
another thing.
trackers on them.
We just gonna
Yeah,
show
but-
up and shoot the
But,
kidnap.
we're not.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? If they are kidnapped and they are under your purview, then you are not empowered to recover them by any means necessary. That's a situation in which you would have to go to the police so that they can handle that situation.
Okay, I
Well,
have
we
a
all-
compromise for that, Mr. Mayor. If it's them committing the action, we'll act swiftly, but if an external force kidnaps them and it's beyond our power to reasonably bring them back without doing harm to the other force, we could have a standby officer liaison that can oversee it for us, and he can keep the police in the loop. We'll do a joint operation, but they do nothing to the inmates. The inmates fall completely under us.
That is where I asked Cornwood. Do you feel that is something the police department has the resources to
Let's
allow?
be honest. They don't know how to. Yeah, they don't know how to risk
One
anybody else.
officer.
Let's be honest. I mean, they need some extra work because God knows they can't catch anybody. They're fucking terrible. They don't know how to do their fucking job.
Oh, Bobby,
Hold on
Bobby,
now.
Bobby,
we have plenty. We have
Calm
plenty
down,
of good
buddy.
officers. I mean, we can't guarantee it, but if it's requested, hey, can we get a police officer here to help us do some work and oversee this? Yeah, I don't see a problem with that at all.
I don't think instances like that are gonna spring up too often either. We'll
Yeah, I
have
mean,
a-
I think if it's on a case by case basis, I think that'd be completely fine just to ask, and if we have the numbers to be able to have you have somebody go over there and help out, I think it'd be fine.
Okay,
I
so
was gonna shoot him.
I've been taking some notes this whole time. What I wrote is what needs to happen. Establish SOPs with police department that determines how life prisoners are handled while they are on work release. Establish clear lines that cannot be overstepped by Dogtown. Establish situations in which the police must supersede the purview of Dogtown in order to secure lifers and maintain law and order on the street. These are things that you will have to establish with, like, the chief of police, for example.
Okay.
And if you are able to submit something alongside Barrick Johnson that is sufficiently not alarming to the Council of Eight, we can do this next week, since obviously, this is like the preliminary presentation or whatever. You can bring that to us, and if the terms are good and reasonable, then I would have no problem supporting you guys.
We also need more staff, so the 6 guard limit has to be upped.
I have wondered that. That's a hard limit set by Crane, but y'all might need more. It is worth discussing.
I think with the transfer of the lifers, there's probably an articulated need now, right? That wasn't there before for them to have more staff.
Yes.
Dogtown was established because a traditional DOC system was, for lack of a better word, most times pathetic. I'm sure you guys are fully aware that it was used as an avenue for people to essentially promote themselves to the local police department so that they could be recruited from that pool of people. There weren't many people truly passionate about doing this work, which is why the nature of the work has changed, and which is why you guys were given the ability and power that you have. Arguments that are like, oh, we need more British people or Australian people to make sure that there's always a guard in Dogtown. I don't believe that there always needs to be guards in Dogtown. Let me clarify. I don't think that's a pressing need, because the function of that prison is continued regardless of whether or not there are guards in Dogtown to beat the shit out of them or line them up against the wall and put a bullet in their brain.
Mr. Mayor.
It
Right,
sounds
that is
like
exactly
you're
what
literally
we do.
requesting the
Station.
ability to do that.
No,
You showed
no.
us.
Call up Alan in the coming days, and I'm sure he would be I don't see a reason why he would disagree with increasing your guys' cap. I will also say that he probably will intend on having those people interviewed in the way that you presented them the last time.
God.
Mr. Mayor, there are two final things that I want to bring up.
Sure.
One is our title. Are we government employees or not?
Okay, repeatedly, no.
No,
I
oh,
would
they
not
should be.
So long as you guys do the homework that was given to you, and you meet. Stop fucking talking, Bobby. Listen, meet with the chief of police. Figure out what you can and cannot do.
They don't know what they can do, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, listen, but
Damn.
I will tell you right now. Okay, fine. I will tell you what you can and cannot do. You are not cops when you bring these people out on the streets. If they're not listening to you and they have to be wrangled or corralled, you are welcome to beat them to make sure that they are doing what you need them to do. You cannot rescue them if they are kidnapped. You cannot shoot them in public. Shooting them will cause a panic, so you can't shoot them.
I would actually
Okay.
ask that if somebody tries to like kidnap one of your lifers while out on the streets doing those activities, that you actually warn anybody that doing so is going to constitute harboring a fugitive, because they're in there for a capital level crime and that's a hut.
Oh,
And they
that's
probably,
true.
I know.
Yeah.
So I would warn them that harboring a fugitive is a hut and to not fuck with that
Wow.
person.
We've been denied essential resources that we can't afford otherwise, like radios. My guards need to be able to communicate with each other. Otherwise, the prison's gonna be overrun every 2 fucking minutes.
I'd be happy to talk with you afterwards. I want to actually figure out how much your cost is to operate.
Ooh.
And don't
You guys are
fucking
worried
lie
about
to him.
Oh no, I'll just
guys
go
are
up there.
worried
I'll
about
spend an hour, a full hour. I don't care. I will
Okay.
cost average everything out. I don't give a shit.
You keep accidentally talking on the main police frequency,
Oh
and then they're like,
I'm
they're like,
telling
oh
you.
my,
What?
they're like, oh my god, oh Bobby Charles is disrupting us. They're like, I think the police are making a bigger deal than it actually is. I don't think even 30 seconds of uninterrupted flatulence is preventing them from doing their job, because they have an average arrest rate per shift of about 5 to 4 people. And Bobby Charles farting on radio is not making that arrest rate higher or lower.
So here's the here's the issue. This is the concern that has been brought to me. What is stopping somebody else from putting a gun to your head and saying, "Hey, relay to me exactly what the police are saying
I'd let him
on the
kill
radio
me.
at this
No,
exact
I'd let him
no,
kill
he
me.
will not.
Oh my
What are you?
gosh.
He's crazy.
No,
You
I'm
know
not
what's
crazy.
funny
I'd let him
about
kill me.
that? What's stopping someone from doing that to a cop already? I'm gonna put something on the table, okay? And I shouldn't put this on the table, but I'm gonna put this on the table. We have had police weapons and armaments cycle through our facility like crazy, okay? At least 5 PD guns. We don't know how it got there. We're completely oblivious to how it got there. We don't know where it went, but it was in our prison. So you obviously have a bigger problem inside your house, and you're worrying about the yard. Things that haven't even happened yet. Hypotheticals.
Yeah, okay, but it's called being proactive, right? Like
Well, you should be proactive with your fellow cops, Mr. Cornwood.
Yeah.
We can get on police radios with civilian radios. It's an encryption code. The radio itself is not encrypted, so you're policing something that has a loophole to it.
no,
You're trying to fix a
there's-
problem that's not a problem.
Somebody get a civilian radio. I'll demonstrate.
if there is a way in order to have somebody's job only allow them to access certain channels, give
I
them
still
channel
don't understand
15.
why this is necessary.
Yeah, why is it unnecessary? I mean, just make it to where DLC can only listen to channel 15.
So it sounds like even with the civilian radio, you guys could technically do that if you wanted to. Which tells me, why the fuck not just sell you guys government radios? But I have a great idea, because the police are notoriously awful at pooling their funds, at working toward a common goal. That's something I learned in my first term. because they can't figure it out themselves. What you guys can do is you could pay $3,000 per radio from the police department, and they can donate that money to their police coffers so that they have a pool of money that they can draw on if they need to.
Fucking leeches. But I'll agree to that. Even though it's fucked up,
Love that.
I'll agree to it.
Wow.
I want 10,000.
Are you serious? That is
They-
outrageous.
They don't have that much money. I am not opposed to charging them more than that, though, if you have a good reason for it.
Mr. Mayor, if we're gonna play the charge game, okay,
Mhm.
they're gonna have to pay us $20,000 every time they want to talk to a HUD charge person.
If y'all want us to keep sending people up to jail to justify your jobs, y'all got to pay us a
Oh,
commission.
no, we have lifers now. We don't
Yeah,
need
we
you
have
guys.
lifers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need you guys.
Problem
Yeah.
fixed.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yep. I think 3,000 is fair for now. Will you guys build up your coffers? Do we have any opposition?
Well,
I have
How
no
much do they
issue with it.
cost?
Just all say.
Yeah, they
have a
cost
question.
$250.
What
so they're
up,
making
Cletus?
insane amounts. Of
So, how do we fix the issue? Because if I take this and I take it back in that meeting room and I say this is the solution, the answer from every single person is going to be that's not the issue. It's not about the money. It's about the potential for causing problems for us. If this occurs, then that means blank.
If this occurs, then that means that your guys' arrest rate will go from 4 people in 8 hours to 3, and that's a terrible, terrible fate. I don't
have a
know.
solution.
No, I'm saying if we
I have
find them leak information from the radio.
The only
I
way
have a
they'll get
suggestion.
confidence though is if they can personally vet and control every applicant and every hire for the DOC. That's
No,
like,
that will never
it's
happen.
Yeah,
only
that
way.
will
yeah,
never
that's. I would like to put this on the table. If you guys do that shit, you will be fired.
Okay.
And
All right, that's all I needed to hear.
I'm saying this because I've been approached by high command from LSPD with concerns about this, and it pisses me off because they're chasing ghosts, because this shit has not happened and it will not happen so long as you guys are the barons of Dogtown.
So it was a complete accident, and then I always switch back.
Yep.
Then I'm always harassed by the police, and usually
yep.
7 units show up for an arrest.
Yep.
It's,
Believe me, I know.
Hey, easy arrest. Bring that 3 to 4.
Yeah. No, seriously. This is why my quota system, specifically this week, does not have traffic citations, because I need them to start tackling serious crime and not sitting in Legion Square handing out speeding tickets or
Classic.
harassing you with 8-9 units.
We'll hash out the deal in private. It'll be
No,
above
the
3K.
deal needs to be
35.
above
35.
board.
Cornwood.
All right,
We're gonna be here all day.
we'll do
These people
3.5.
busy.
We'll 3.5K. Okay, 3.5K.
Okay.
You want me to punch you? Chatty.
I want you to go in for assault
Chatty.
battery.
Oh,
I want you to.
Hey,
No.
Dragging me on, they're trying to get me arrested.
Bobby,
I want you to go in
do
for
not-
assault and battery.
Bobby, it's not
Listen,
worth
Chatterbox
it.
and Miss Lamb, you guys are up next.
Well, I said, Chatterbox, I'm going to charge you. And he kept saying, do it. And I said, Chatterbox, I don't want to have to do this. And he said, okay, that was 10 counts. And
That's
I said,
fair.
no, that was 6. I counted. Stop trying to run the score.
And I know Max and Siobhan are not here. Here's my one concern with some of this, right? Is if we allow special cases, and I believe me, I'm a fucking love chatter, right? If we allow one, does that open a door for all the other ones on top of it?
We're here.
Chatty.
Sorry, oh yeah, sorry, my bad. I didn't go to college.
So my wife has already heard some of this briefly. You guys are here for Chatterbox's exorbitant debt, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, that is
what is your
correct.
debt at currently?
$1.3 million.
Holy.
Chatterbox is a special case because his rights were. Chatterbox has an affliction where he will always plead guilty.
Well, they say it's good if I do it. I'd be bad if I didn't plead guilty. And then I'll get in trouble.
Okay.
Do you mind if I speak?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I've had, extensive experience dealing with the clowns in a PD capacity and whatnot. In my experience, they're very naive. They can be talked into things. They can be coerced. They can be convinced of certain. They can be coerced into a lot of things, and they don't necessarily always plead guilty, but they can be convinced too.
Okay.
And a lot of the time, they will also offer up more charges on top of what they have been provided by the police. They make they call it snitting.
Yeah.
Clowns.
Yeah, Cornwood, am I good at snitting?
What is snitting?
I tell on everybody and I'll set them up. So if I did something bad, they'll be like, well, you gotta we gotta like get everybody, and then I'll help because I'm a good guy. So I'll yuck every clown over so they go to jail too for doing something bad.
There was I don't know, it was like a week or 2 weeks of while the adoption fraud charge was active. Chatterbox here was charged 30 times, I think, with adoption fraud, roughly. And Alan approached me last night and said, "Hey, normally someone has to plead not guilty in order to qualify for the Council of 8 pardoning. However, he wants to make an exception in Chatterbox's case."
I starved to death at least 14 times.
Oh my god.
So
Well, that's
from a
because
legal
of the poor quality
standpoint,
of food in this damn
from a
city.
legal
I've seen it.
standpoint, I
True.
think that there is a basis for an unprecedented exception, given the unlikelihood that this would ever happen again. This level of stacking, so
Right.
I think it's fine.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, look, hold on. I gotta speak up here. No, I agreed it
Oh.
would be funny.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I
and you
like funny
you
stuff.
said, hold on, and you said, how many times did you say, oh, I think that was 10, and you individually counted it? In fact, Siobhan was there
Yeah,
on one of the occasions, and she videoed it, I believe, or was that somebody else?
yeah, I did all that stuff that he's saying.
Oh yeah, I
Siobhan,
did
do you have a
video one
mask,
of
by the-
those.
Yeah. So
Ah.
if anything, okay, just to stand up for myself here, all right, when we say dubious, all right, I counted individually exactly how many it was, and I brought him down many times. All right.
Okay.
Now, to that point, I do believe that if it wasn't for Chatterbox's own very clear, request for me to charge him, I wouldn't have charged him on my own accord. So,
Right.
I mean, I would vote against it.
Alan is going to probably schedule a pardon hearing for him, despite the normal process not being possible, because he did plead guilty to all of those charges.
Oh, you
I
look
got
great,
my bag. I
Daddy.
got my bag too, just in case I gotta flee the city. I packed a bag just in case you guys
Okay.
just told me to go
Okay,
yuck
We're
myself.
gonna make sure that doesn't happen.
How many adoptions were there again, Cornwood?
Wasn't it like 15 or 20?
Can you
Nah,
speak
talk
up?
up if you could.
Do the clowns have any other things they would like to bring up to the council today?
Yeah. What about that? What about that mime thing you promised?
I mean, mimes are currently being registered. It's actually on this week's quota. The police force gets 10 quota points for registering a mime on the mime registry.
It's true. There's at least one.
We'll try to keep it. We'll try to speed up the process.
Okay, you should, because Kirk's gonna get a gun. He said if any cops pull me over, he's gonna shoot him. I don't want him to do that.
Oh my god.
Gangster.
That sounds like
do
Kirk.
that, too.
Yeah, that he
You
will.
can get an
Yeah.
RPG too.
All the clowns are going crazy right now. You guys gotta help me. You help me, I can help you.
Okay, what do you need help
I
with,
will help
Chatterbox?
you.
Make as fast as I get it, as fast as you pardon that $900,000, the fast I can control the clowns again. If I go to jail, they don't follow my rules anymore.
In fact, I could go a step further and say that I know he wants this to happen. So right now we can actually probably just set a fucking date for it.
Sure.
Could we do it as early as tomorrow?
I'd be there. I'll make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
I'm
be there to
available
speak on his
tomorrow.
behalf as well. I think it's only
Perfect.
appropriate since I was the officer who charged, not all of them, but a good amount of them.
Thanks, Yuckwit.
You wait for pardon
you might be
process. You could be there, but you're
conflicted on
conflicted, so
it.
you have to
Yes,
recuse. But it might
we
be
will
helpful
keep
for
your
you to
information in mind.
speak.
Absolutely.
Actually, you know what? We have the power to do this right now.
Uh-huh.
guys.
Yeah, okay. If Craig disagrees, he can always say we have to still take it to a pardon meeting, but I'm okay with trying to decide now.
He said 18 hours ago, I told Chatterbox we would discuss pardoning, absolving him of the 20 times adoption fraud. It's 15. Because it's literally $900K in debt, and that the PD just charged him for the lulz. He said
was funny.
some
It
of
was
them
pretty funny.
were like embarrassingly bad. They just charged him because he pleads guilty to everything.
Oh boy.
He says, I think this is a rare case where we should consider just wiping them because PD big dumb. I don't agree with that. And then I said, because he's going to kill me and my wife for this debtor prison happening. So giving him a full pardon would be cool.
Oh, boy.
And
That
Crane,
would've happened.
and Crane said, like when your wife charged Chatterbox $25 million for every time he hit the gavel.
It's 50
Best-
million, not 25.
Yeah,
What?
best
Oh,
yucking
what the
judge.
hell?
Best yucking judge right there. That's my judge.
And I said based. Murphy,
Yeah.
you can unbill, right?
You can only do it in a very short period of time. You would have to
Yeah, it
do
have to be
judge
like
pay
immediately. It has to be judicial pay.
yeah, so But just as a legal perspective on this, I would tend to agree that this debtor's prison would be a cruel and unusual ex post facto punishment for these particular crimes of Chatterbox.
And as explained too, it just takes money out of the state account to subsidize the debts, so it fucks us unnecessarily as well. So I think there's plenty of reasons to agree to that.
Good fucking points, guys.
I'm not a judge. I said this earlier, so I can't do any of the judge stuff anymore.
Adam's downstairs doing the court case. He could do it.
There is a court case, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, before we continue with that, does anyone have anything that they would like to say about potentially not doing this for Jagger Girardi, aka Chatterbox?
I do.
I just have a few points, actually. Real
Sure.
quick. Not for or against either way. I guess I can be persuaded. So the one thing that
Don't
the one
forget,
thing
TJ, I kidnapped the doctor for you, man.
yes,
Okay, we don't
yes,
gotta talk
yes. That was a long time ago. Thank you.
Yuck. Oh, yuck.
That was a very long time ago, Chatter. I have changed my ways. Thank you.
Man, come on.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. Listen, here's I gotta do my due diligence with it from both sides. So because if we're doing 900,000, all right, that's fine. Is that the first decision or is it the entirety of 1.3? Okay, so obviously 400 outstanding.
900K only, I think.
Okay,
because we're only going to be pardoning the adoption fraud.
All right, fair. So it's not the entirety absolving all of his debt.
Correct.
All right. So the second part
Unless
to
you're
that is
open to that.
we are not.
All right, fair enough. Just wanted to make sure on that part too. The second part is what happens to the next person that wants to come here and do this too
for adoption fraud.
Yeah.
So I have something to say about that. I think that's a good question, but also this is it's an extraneous circumstance, right? Where you have a charge that was added through legislation that has since been removed. It didn't even last for one whole term. To be fair, an egregious amount of fines. I think this is just one of them situations that is it ain't ever gonna happen again.
No, that's entirely fair with that. And so I'm just, if it comes out there, the second part to that, and Cornwood, you can hate me on this one, but I got to ask it anyway. How much do you make out of each one of those?
I did make commission off of, I think, the initial charge. I think it was the first time, but it's capped at $15,000.
So my end point with that, Cornwood, would be, if that's the case, and you're standing up here for him, that in theory you should be paying 15 grand restitution back to the state.
Okay, well now you're gonna make me do math.
I'm just putting it out there that, you know, if you made money off of it and we're now refunding back.
I think that's legitimate.
We need the powers of a judge to pay back Chatterbox $900,000 because Alan wanted to what's the word? Give him a special exception for a bunch of adoption fraud charges that he copped. And we have. Do you need a state ID or something like that?
I need his bank account number.
Take note that Mr. Chatterbox here, aka Jagger Girardi, has been afforded restitution.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Chatty.
I will call off the clown mob. There will be no attacks on City Hall from today on.
Allegedly.
I do have a request from the council on Chatter's behalf.
Sure.
I have made a beautiful song for all of you, and if it rocks your socks off, if you can continue to wipe the rest of Chatterbox's debt,
Hey, Mr. Ratchet, don't make me change my mind.
I'll make a good song. Are you ready, guys?
Okay.
Let's hear it, Mr. Ratchet. Come on, man.
Here we go.
Clown beat.
My name is Chatter. I'm trying to help. Oh wait, I fucked it up. Yeah, well, I'm gonna do it anyway. Chatterbox is a good ass man, Mr. Cornwood. He got the plan. You hungry? I'll feed you. Everyone listen. Chatterbox didn't even do it. I'm not lying. We might be missing. We might be running. We might get in trouble. But listen, I'm not lying. He might have a gun and he might have a Glock, but when he pulls it, he don't ever shoot at the cops. I swear to God, we'll behave. Mr. Motherfucking Mayor, please let Chatter off the hook. He the man. I swear, I'm not Mr. Hook. I'm not a rapper. I'm a clown. And he ain't in debt. He should be set free. Yeah, that's all I got, motherfucker. I ain't ready.
Beautiful.
That was great.
Yeah,
He's already in jail. Who cares?
Bye, clowns.
Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
y'all. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Love you all.
Have a good one, y'all.
Now we move on to the meat and potatoes of the meeting. So I will send it to Mr. TJ Walker, the new treasurer. Do you have anything that you would like to present today to the Council of Eight?
In formal writing, unfortunately, not quite.
Mr. Solomon Walker, do you have anything that you would like to present to the Council of Eight?
Not just. I've got some questions. Again, obviously, this is probably not going just for myself. There's a few of us here who this is our first council meeting, so I have a few questions on generalities. I don't know if this is necessarily the right time. So this is very much me asking you if we can ask questions just in general about how things work and how things have been working in the past. I mean, for one, obviously this is your second term, so I would love to know what is there going to be the direction for your second term in terms of what you're hoping to achieve with the economy, with legislation, etc. I would also, if it was possible, if we can get an update on one of the questions I get a lot now as deputy mayor is about business licenses, and obviously at the moment I feel like I can't really give anyone an answer. So if there's anything you can share with us, so that when people inevitably ask me, as they have been, I have something more concrete to go on other than let me have my first meeting and then I can get back to you. So really my questions are, one, business licenses, where are we with those right now and what is the process going forward? Number two, in general, the economy right now, the state account, where are we with that? What is the direction we're moving in with that? What is the direction of the economy moving forward? I think for now those are both pretty big topics, so I think I'll leave with just those two for now, and I'm sure I'll have more questions as we go.
So as far as business licenses go, that was a duty that I expected that I would immediately have to do and that I was prepared to do. Unfortunately, we have not been given the ability to even create a business. My wife and I have gone over probably 30 plus business proposals at this point.
You can see it in the report section. If you look at business proposal submissions, you can see the full list everybody has tracked there.
And we've got ones that are approved and denied, and some we haven't even gone over yet. And part of the reason I haven't gone over them yet is because I haven't heard any word from the state that we will have the base functionality that we need to actually make them happen. Tons of good ideas that could be happening right now that are currently on hold because the efforts to reestablish Los Santos to its former glory is being directed elsewhere right now. There is a glimmer of hope, I will say, in the new real estate app, which tells me that they might soon be working on things relevant to businesses and business licenses. I can also disclose that we, a lot of us here have been in and out of Los Santos for many years. We're familiar with how businesses used to work. In the future, whenever the capability arrives, there's going to be, as far as I'm aware, 3 different tiers of businesses. There is going to be a tier of business license that will be given to felons that will pertain specifically to stuff that a felon would realistically have. Like, for example, a record label would be in this tier of businesses for these felons. It would be the easiest one to get. It would be the least profitable. I have been asking for several months, and it just simply... So at the very least, you can send people my way, Solomon, and I will speak with them for you.
If that's the stance we're on, I've got no problem fielding the question. I've got no problem, if anything, I've got, if that's the case, if things are being held up by something completely outside of your control or the council's control, I don't want people going, my fucking license been held up, it's all Max's fault. It fucking isn't.
Yeah.
So I don't want to send them to you because they shouldn't be going to you. Anyone from this council, frankly, can field that question and say it's got fuck all to do with the mayor. It's held up by things outside of his control. It is what it is. There may be something coming soon. When we know more, you will know more.
For the economy direction, and this is what I was trying to do. Basically, when the mayor's office received the power to adjust certain things like tax. Oh, first of all, the mayor's office always had the ability to adjust taxes. And what I did when I entered office, like 15 minutes after I entered office the first time, I lowered taxes as low as I could go within guidelines that were provided to me in regards to past mayors. Like they could only lower it like 20% of its current value. And I did that. And then I actually overstepped and lowered property tax even lower because people were getting ready to buy houses for the first time. And the property tax was at 10% at that point, which, for a $500,000 house, That's a lot of fucking money. And I dropped it again to about 4%. Anyway, point is, the goal of so that they could purchase basic amenities like a home that isn't the government subsidized apartments and a vehicle, so they didn't have to rent a car every single day. And I think that was pretty well accomplished. A lot of those, I think the only job that I raised during election, because this was something that some people accused me of doing. The only thing that I actually raised during election time was the towing payout, because there was an issue on the back end with towing and the way that it was paying out. I had to drop it all the way as low as I could to compensate for what was effectively a double charge on the back end. So every time someone was impounding a vehicle, it was being charged twice to the state, essentially. Towing was actually accounting for more than Group 6 and grime pay, which, by the way, all of that comes out of the state account. Every time someone does any of those jobs, that money is being extracted.
Yeah,
from
we
the state account.
that we knew.
So in emergency mode, I was like, holy fuck. How is towing worth $16 million in the last 7 days, and grime and Group 6 are only worth $10 million combined? So I fucking dropped it. And then I had some conversations with tow workers during election week, and they were like, hey, I'm making like $150 or $200 per like impound now, which told me, I was like, oh, okay. So the state has fixed the issue on the back end, because it wasn't ever communicated to me that it was fixed. So I was like, okay, well then I'm gonna raise their pay to be in line with what I had set grime and Group 6 to, so that people could work that job if they so pleased without feeling like they had to go deliver packages or deliver money, blah, blah, blah. My economic policy for the very first, if you guys have ever played Civilization, I wanted there to be a golden age for people. I wanted people to make a lot of money. I feel like they did make a lot of money, worth about $60 million from the state account. So the state account's making money the whole time, but also it was spending money specifically on sanitation work. And that was a huge drain on the state account. And I to the point where it was unsustainable. All of these changes happened prior to election season. I barely touched anything, probably for the last month or so, because I needed to be able to sustain that reinvestment into the sanitation market. I was in big spender mode pretty much the last 2 months of my first campaign. Now, I have pulled out of reinvestment into sanitation almost entirely. I did that pretty much the day or a day or two after I was reelected, to allow the state account more time to recover, and it has a significant amount. I think at one point we were down to 43 million, and that would have been probably the day of the election. Now we're at least the last time I checked last night, about 12 hours ago, we were at 61 million.
That's 65 before I came here.
Damn. Okay, so that's good. My goal is to get to about 70 or 80 million, and then to reinvest into the sanitation market, because that is still a huge issue for a lot of people. So basically, we're without dropping pay to build up so that I can do another golden age toward the end of my term. For doctor and EMS pay, Canter and I are more than welcome to discuss that after this meeting, if she so pleases. Right now,
does it have to be a private discussion? Can we I mean, we're all here. I would have been happy to. I just haven't seen you.
Well, I've been around.
I have been around a lot more, I can promise you that. I've been looking.
You've been looking for me?
Yes, I have. I was told you might be around way later, but I've actually stuck around that time and still not seen you quite a few days.
Yeah, the last time we met, you said you would talk to me in 2 to 3 days.
Yes, and then I did not see
you. Okay. And that was like a week and a half ago.
Yes. I have not seen you in that time.
I mean, we could have easily hashed this out right then and there,
Well, you were incapacitated in bed at the time. It felt wrong to jump it on you, but yes, I did agree to speak.
I was the one who brought it up, and I was ready to do it.
I would have been happy to. You offered to speak in a few days, so I agreed to.
No, I offered to speak right then and there, and you told me that we would be able to meet with me in 2 to 3 days.
All right.
You did not offer that.
Can I back and forth with y'all real quick? Just keep keep it civil on this side to it. I'm happy to mediate if you guys want to it. Can I just put out a suggestion here real quick? Why don't I work with them real quick? Same thing with DOC that we were just talking about, or Dogtown. Actually understand their expenses and how much it actually costs for them.
I have them, actually, if you're interested.
Well, at some point, yeah, could you send those to me? But at the same time, but Max, I'd like to do a fair market value assessment as to what people are actually making. And legislation-wise, is basically put in a minimum wage that cannot go below that without some sort of authorization.
From who?
The council.
So that's what I would like to, well, from the whole council at that point. It have to be voted on.
Yeah, draft something up.
I will. But I just don't want to go back and forth with not available days back and forth, not productive. But just trying to keep it at least factually based. All right?
I mean, how are we gonna make sure we're getting the money to be able to pay the minimum wage?
Well, that is entirely with it. I mean, these are from your side to it, right, Cornwood, and from Doctors EMS. You're technically, I would classify as a essential workers, right?
Yeah, I've got the
and
numbers.
so you deem what is essential worker, and then you put it as that side to it, and they should still be compensated to a point where it is agreeable based upon their time, their education, and what they're being provided to the city.
Adding up the math of every single hours that was done in the last month, it was a total of 2,082 and a half hours out of doctors. At the rate we were at before, at 1050, that is barely over 2 million in an entire month.
So, I mean, doctors have no overhead, right? I mean, do you guys have to pay for your supplies and stuff?
No, we do not, which is why this information is based purely on hours alone. EMS, I still stand by, should be higher. But I only have the statistics, hours based for doctors.
Who chose Happy as the chief of EMS?
They voted. There were three
voted
different
internally?
People. Yes, between all the EMS.
I had a very alarming conversation with him probably about a week before election where I asked him how things were going. And I was like, who are you voting for? And he told me, hey, I can't really discuss that. I was like, fine, whatever. He proceeded to bombard me for about 15 or 20 minutes about the various woes that he, as the chief of EMS, was facing. Primarily the horrible prospect of having to ask other EMSs to possibly contribute just a small amount of money to a communal fund where they could all chip in to replace their shared ambulance engines. And I sat down and he kept very good records in his defense, where he was very thorough, in which he was able to track how often those engines need to be replaced. And it was about 5 weeks, a little more than 5 weeks, for a $12,000 engine replacement. Now, what we need to figure out, like, what's the average work time of someone that's doing EMS, or at least was actively doing it at that point. I think Happy himself said maybe he was working about more than enough to impressively single-handedly replace every engine if he needed to, and then still make money if he were to work every single day for like 7 hours. But the thing was, he didn't need to replace those engines, because those engines did not need to be replaced except for once every 5+ weeks. So it was shocking to me when I said, hey, why don't you go around, EMS Chief Happy, and get people to contribute even $1,000 a day, which is not even 1 hour's worth of pay for an EMS, to a mutual fund where you guys are able to draw on that to replace engines, so you don't have to ask people to do that themselves, because they're all shared vehicles. They don't get to purchase their own vehicles. I wish they could. And he said, well, Max, I just don't feel comfortable asking other EMS to do that. I was like, why? You're their boss. That is a perfect solution to your problem. And he did not seem very convinced at all that that was even a possibility, which then called into question his ability to lead that department. Because if he's not able to make a decision that does not even account for 1 full hour's worth of pay at that point, what else is going wrong? And then I learned what else was going wrong, because my wife encountered a homeless fellow who you know what I'm talking about, the guy that you hired, Jason. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, he's great.
Did you know that? How long was he going to have to wait for an EMS interview?
He said mid-May.
There you go.
This was
weeks.
April. This was like from like mid-April, yeah.
So at that point, I realized something, and it was
I think it was
something that
another
Alan
person
Crane
said it was-
actually said when we were discussing raising pay in the past. Money is not a motivator for activity. It isn't. And lowering your guys' pay actually was a great experiment, and this is why I did it.
To be frank, our hours have not gone up. If you're going to try to make that claim, I track all of it. We've had the exact same people working still. We still have downtimes. We still have AU. We struggle with staff. It has been about the same. The only person who's worked more is me. So congratulations. I have made sure to be there as much as possible to make sure I could do things like talk to you.
So it's about the same. Meaning that lowering your guys' pay actually didn't affect your guys' output at the hospital.
No, it did not. But if you want to make the statement that because we are willing to save people's lives anyway, we should not get paid, sure, yeah. I hope the city sees that.
This is why I want. This is why I wanted to have this conversation in private, because this is a great conversation for me and her to have. And you know, as that sort of thing is the purview of the mayor's office, afforded by the state, it's a decision that I can make myself. So the thing that I wanted to meet with you about, Philippa, is,
which I'm happy to do. We can still do that.
Of course, we can do it now, though.
Sure,
and I would love to do it now. Of a doctor in high esteem, you hold it in such a way that, and this is, I'm not saying you said this in particular. This is something that was kind of being cried about on Twatter after your guys' pay was lowered. That, you know, why do senior buns workers make more money than doctors? How could that be? Mayor's a piece of shit. Blah blah blah. It's awful. They're super selfless, and I agree. You guys are selfless. I'm not debating that at all. It seemed like the public and yourself hold that particular group to high standard. So do I. The thing that I was going to propose, so that we could get back on, I suppose, restoring your guys' pay to what it was, is that I was interested in seeing two things happen. The first thing is I would like, the mayor's office would be very keen on seeing that this high standard that has been set by the public and by yourself is followed through with completely, and that no felons would be able to work for the LSMG, for the medical group. And that would allow me to very easily justify it as a position that deserves that high pay, because you guys are holding yourselves to very high standards, rightfully so. And the second thing is that I would like to see a palpable and productive plan to remove inactive doctors from your roster, maybe once every 3 weeks. Like if someone's inactive for like 3 weeks, that person gets the boot, essentially. Those are the two things that I am personally interested in, and if those can be, we can discuss that now, the terms of that, if you would like.
Okay, let me break this down. To the second point, we do. We are firing 13 people tonight based on their inactivity. We have a system in place where people are marked inactive when they don't complete their hours. If they don't complete them again over the next few months, they're fired immediately. 13 people are being fired, numerous more are being marked as inactive. I know it's been stated here, I'm not a board member. I know y'all think I am, but I'm not high command. I do not make those decisions.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're married to someone on the board, right?
No, I'm not. He is an attending as well.
Oh, who are the people on the board again?
Pixie, Janetti, and Derek Shaw.
Are you agreeable to the prospect of making it so that doctors are they can't have a felony at all? Is that something that you would be interested in?
I'm going to be very frank in my answer here, so bear with me. I would have never had an issue with that. If we started out with no felonies, that would have been fine. I never intend to commit a felony. That's no issue. However, based on the entirety of my work with you, I do not trust your intentions. And I see this as an easier way to get rid of me. And I would expect if this were to be changed, I would have a gun planted on me in a heartbeat. So, I am currently
if I may.
Well, hold on. We have
Murphy
the gun plantee
took that.
Alpha, subject 0 here, actually, Mr. Braun.
Patient 0, yeah. That's true.
What are the what's the likelihood of Miss Canter having a gun planted on her and being found guilty?
To be frank here, Mags, what are your motivations then? Because when I heard this, because Siobhan mentioned it to one of my doctors, my only assumption was negative. Is there a doctor you have an issue with? Because we only have approximately 3 doctors that I'm aware of that have felonies as of right now, and I can break them all down. There is Julio Thomas, who has been given an exception purely based on the fact that he is a great goddamn doctor. We've even talked about it here. The decision was given to Derek Shaw to come fire him if he wanted to, and the decision was made by him to leave him. There was Giovanna Gambino. She has accomplice to a charge. The officer requested that we not fire her for it. And Adam Maziak, who has reckless driving. I believe Declan Crane.
Ooh.
Okay.
My intentions were already stated.
I mean, Chief Justice Crane always says he's a screw up, so.
Oh, okay.
To gap the disconnect between the perceived honorableness of your role and what is actually happening behind closed doors. And look, I know it's not a super egregious thing right now. I know, like you said, there's only like 3 felons who even work at the hospital right now. Just moving forward, it'll be easy from the mayor's office in the future to justify raising your guys' pay even more if we are able to articulate to the people and to the Council of Eights in the future, whoever takes this role after me, I think the standard should be higher.
I mean, G6 is that high, right?
G6 is, not many other are. That's one example. However, I can see your point. I will say, with the felonies thing, there are most felonies we would fire for. Anything considered even closely violent, anything considered drug-related. The only reason the exception is made is for fringe cases like reckless driving, for example. He didn't even evade. We do. We honestly do. I can bring the example to the board. However, I will not hide from them my beliefs of your motivations as well.
I personally don't want a felon going through my belongings when I can't move under my own power. I don't know.
They don't. They would be fired instantly.
I mean, it's
I think
we have never once had that happen.
That's basically it. And you can take that to your superiors and discuss, like, you come back with a counteroffer. I'm always open.
I will absolutely do that
for negotiations. As for EMS, their pay was docked because the person that they voted in to lead them has proven that whatever sort of hiring process is going on, he must not be involved in or is involved in. And
I believe they have a PNT that does it. I don't know who runs that though. I can look into it for you.
I need to meet with him so that he can tell me the precise particulars of why it's taking 3 weeks for someone to get an interview. Because the EMS are already so short-staffed that it should be an immediate issue that should have been resolved.
I have one thing. Go ahead.
Hold on. I wanted to thank Philippa for being reasonable. We've had
I appreciate that. You as well.
Disagreements. I want to state for the record that a long time ago, I learned that violence is not necessarily a solution to any quarrels that I might have experienced in the past, and that applies to the current day. I mean, none of you any harm or ill will, and I am trying to act and future-proof for people who are going to come after us. That will always be my intention. That said, were we on you, Philippa, going around the table?
I believe so. Unless you have anything, Solomon. I don't think we were able to get to you yet.
No, I mean,
was just
like
observing.
I said, I was, I had those 2 questions because they've been asked of me maybe 100 fucking times in the last week.
I know Happy, I was talking to him and Happy came to me with, he said they had ideas for like an ambulance race, and that's something the PD can help, facilitate and add to what Cantor's saying.
Of course.
I know they were coming up with some more ideas to, help fund on their own, which is, I thought that was good to hear.
I have to do my due diligence and ask here, is it possible to increase the pay of either factions, or specifically EMS? They do have far more costs than us.
I can raise EMS to 750 for now. Okay. Philippa, do you have anything you'd like to present?
Yes. You discussed transparency. I do have something I would like to propose for that. To be frank, not my idea initially. I was worked on by Nakota and Etta. However, since they are no longer here, I will bring it forward for them. Let me put this in. There we are. Should be in City Council documents. The Economic Transparency and Tracking Act.
Is there a reason this wasn't in before?
I'll just kind of deciding what we have time for, what we want to get done. Didn't want to force anything if we ended up for hours here, just onboarding everyone,
Is this it? Just one line?
Pretty much, yes. The proposal is essentially this. If we agree to it, it's not It is just
TJ, this is actually a lot of words for Nakota and Edda, so I think it's actually a lot of words for them.
To be clear, we can expand on this and rework it if we want to. That's how we've done things many times in the past. If you would like to suggest things, sometimes we don't pass things until things are adjusted. So yeah, whatever you've got.
Let me take a stab at this over the next few days because I can work that into some of the other shit that I was talking about. Excuse my French.
Perfect.
I see it's being called the Edda Act. All right, fair enough.
Well, I do have a problem with that, and that's that a couple of months ago, Michael Simone already presented the Ego Act.
Let me take a look at this, and I'll actually.
Sure. No, that's perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
I've tried to make most changes public.
Sure.
And every time I adjust something, it is actually published in the newspaper.
Really?
Easy. I've never seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen it shows the taxes, but I've never seen a change to the pay. See, that is also part of this.
Well, I could actually go check right now. I'm not sure about the pay, but I know that the taxes and the
the taxes are there.
The taxes and the pay are there. Or there's two different pay changes I can do. One, the state has a base pay for them, and I can adjust it on a slider-ish, for lack of a better word. Or in the case of EMS, doctors, PD, and I think one other one I can't really remember, I can actually set a numerical value. I'm gonna go check if that numerical value is in the newspaper. Meow 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 meow. Nope.
What if you just wrote them up in a council document first, and that before putting it through the state announcement system, and then just had it dated? I don't know. Ask Crane to give you publishing abilities so that you can push that forward.
So long as I do not have to adhere to something called the Edda Act.
I'll come with something a little bit. I got you.
Yeah. Well, we can talk more. All right. For the serious discussions, just to do my due diligence and vouch for what EMS are requesting, I'll give my two big disclaimers here, or three, I guess. One, I know all of this is a discussion with John City, but I don't know them, so I'm gonna throw this in the void here to see if any of y'all can ask. They have a few things that they want in the future, and all I am asking for is a path forward for them on how they get it and how much it would be if so. We're not asking the state to pay for it. We're not asking for it right now. I get that. However, their wants and needs currently are the ability to buy their own ambulances. I know we discussed that.
Is this specifically EMS requests?
Yes.
Police officers are allowed to drive decommissioned vehicles. And the moment a crime is committed that isn't like a traffic infraction, it's just automatically seized by the state. So there is precedent there to allow for you guys to be like, okay, you're no longer an EMS. Your ambulance belongs to us.
It definitely makes sense, honestly. I think if they were just informed, hey, it's a risk you take. If you ever lose the position, you'd lose the ambulance. Then the other two are the big budget items, is a fire truck and life flight. For those, it is simply, is it possible? And if so, how much do they have to save up? That is it. I appreciate you writing those down. That's great.
I heard that the police department acquired a piece of equipment today.
Wait, really? What they get?
3 of them.
Wait, huh?
3 of them?
3?
Wow. No.
Wait, hold on. What?
From my, as far as I understand, it was a rental.
Okay. No, that actually makes some sense. All right.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I think EMS is. I think them getting life flight would be fantastic. Hopefully, just around the corner, seeing as how we got Air One now.
Yeah,
even if it's a rental, right? Even if we got a rental.
I do have something about the improved ambulances, actually.
Sure. Yeah. What you got?
I guess Mike went ahead and pushed through the 6-seater ambulances.
Okay.
There just needs to be one more thing done on the back end. So, Elias, you got anything to present?
I have one more, actually, if that's okay. My fun one. To break the tension on things. This is just kind of, this is a vibe check thing. I didn't put this one in on purpose because I want to see y'all's opinions in person. This is a proposal for a charge similar to the Drip Act. There it is. This would be a charge, not an act. That is punished only with a fine and not a time.
Oh my god. I would fucking love you for this one.
Right?
I was going to propose a horny tax, so I am.
See, that's what it is. It's a horny tax.
That's essentially what it is.
Look,
Yeah,
I
big
have
fan.
I've actually
Big
I was
fan.
called by 2 different people before this meeting,
Oh my god.
asking
love
to
this.
be able to murder people who do this. I'm for it.
Can we call it the Who Asked Act?
Please.
That's not a bad one either. I quite like my name I came up with though. It's just since it's just a charge, it's just enforced respectful posting, or ERP.
I'm for it. I found out that I have the ability to potentially ban people from Twatter
Oh, God bless. It can be a 1K fine and the mayor bans you.
Oh man.
for like a month, for like a
That's
week or a
great.
month.
Yeah.
Oh,
So what we do for stuff that Philippa just presented, we will typically sort of vote now, and I'm for it, and then we can go to my left to TJ.
Well, let me look at the different fines real quick. Is that like in line?
That's in
I just
line.
put it at 1K along with like the drip act and stuff, so it's a bit of a slap on the wrist, but it adds up. You know, it adds up.
I think so. This is something that Alan was talking about having to go do. I don't know if he's done it yet. To kind of reassess the penal code. I would say that this fine right here is probably within that vision.
Perfect.
For sure.
All right. Yeah, because we got arson for literally letting, $188 more.
So how do you feel, TJ?
Give me a little bit. Go to the next one. I'm not against it. I just want to think about. So we'll go down the line.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Cantor?
Definitely yes.
Cletus?
absolutely.
Braun?
I mean, I am a sucker for free speech. That's the thing. I'm kind of 2 minds about this. Like, I find it fucking obnoxious as the next person. I'm totally in agreement, but I gotta think First Amendment. I'm kind of like a no, but keep cooking. Just legally. Fair. I'm not a fan of suppressing free speech.
I am in favor of suppressing this kind of speech.
If you put in there that say that can be appealed by judges and determine ERP.
I mean, we can write that if you want.
I think it's applied.
If it is appropriate.
I'm with you in spirit.
Siobhan?
I'm reminded of the great SCOTUS opinion once that if something is funny versus overtly sexual, that the smell test, I'll know it when I see it, right? Sort of thing. I'm confident in the judiciary's ability to adjudicate, speech in that regard. So yeah.
Same. Okay. So it passes. Yep.
Oh,
what do you got, bud?
Few things. Mostly some small notes. How do y'all feel about the PD vehicles and ambulances not being allowed to be towed at all unless they're asked to be done so by police officer or EMS?
So what's historically been happening?
We've had an issue. These damn tow terrorists basically just at the second your lights are off, towing your shit. You already can't boot them, making it just completely illegal to tow the vehicle unless an officer asks you to, or an EMS.
And Kyle Pred is a lawyer, and he is going to keep doing this until something happens.
It's become an issue.
I had a bench trial where basically Kyle Pred had towed a police vehicle from within the motor pool area of PD, this like yellow marked area. He was never trespassed by the officers who were there, so I didn't find him guilty on it because they never like gave him like a lawful order of, okay, well, maybe put your big boy pants on and say, hey, get the fuck off of PD property, we're trespassing you, get away from our car.
Thoughts on that side is that you guys do have kind of a method already to deter this from happening, keeping the lights on per se.
Talking about us turning the lights off, we needed to clear traffic as we were doing cleanup.
I don't want to like explicitly say no, but if you are in the vicinity of the vehicle, then I think that you should not have it towed, right? Not that you're completely exempt for it, but if you're in the vicinity, they should still, yes, have to confirm with you. Or they should 311, can I tow this?
It should be very clear it's a lawful order if a cop says get away, period.
Oh, absolutely.
And if they fail to comply, I think at that point you're doing criminal negligence and intentionally hindering the administration of justice. I would say that you could get them with obstruction if you wanted to, misdemeanor obstruction.
Questions I've had from within the PD about weapons licenses, guns, any sort of registering of DNA when getting a weapon. Is that do y'all think that would be reasonable?
No.
Okay.
No.
For the record, I do agree. Doing right by my folks.
No, that's fair.
Y'all's eyes. wise, if the PD had at least a voluntary gun register, folks could officially come voluntarily register their guns whenever they get their weapons license.
I think if we maybe entertain a discount on that weapon license, if they're doing that.
That wouldn't be terrible. if they
Good
can-
idea.
Yeah,
That is an option, right? Yeah, what's up?
So Slacks was supposed to do this whole weapons license training class where that was supposed to happen.
We're hearing
There's been
something
no
about that
word
6
about
weeks.
that. Yeah, there's been no word on whether he's even like made a move to start that or not.
Like
Well,
firearms instruction course, right?
Yeah.
So how do y'all feel about requiring a firearms training with a police officer that has to sign off on it?
The idea of it was supposed to be that they would get a discount if they went through that firearms training course. That was
I like
supposed
a
to be the whole
discount if
appeal
you
of
get
it.
it. Yeah,
And it's already
that's
been
not
approved
bad.
too.
Well, the problem for the PD now is if there's a discount on the weapons license, take an officer to do firearms training, and we have to pull him off of patrol, and we have to have him doing paperwork and stuff, but actually doing training of a civilian. And our patrol,
they're
just
talking about,
full
like,
transparency,
the
can be
gun,
kind
the
of weak
serial number,
at
all
times.
that.
And I know it's not many people, many people a day getting weapons licenses. I think there needs to be something for the PD as well, as far as having like firearms training. I think the PD should be getting paid. There's like,
The officer who was going to be doing that training was supposed to get the other part of that cut. So that discount, they would be getting that discount essentially.
next bullet point. I want to work on a legislation, regulated protection checks, okay? Would make it illegal to ride a motorcycle without a helmet. We've had a lot of
We've
people
actually
having-
brought that up. It got
Oh,
shut
really?
down,
Okay.
but this is a new administration, so maybe.
Well, I
to,
mean, it's
you
for their
know,
health.
show
Right,
us.
right.
It's
but-
for their
but,
health,
let's,
and
let's,
also
let's be honest. You come flying off a
their
bike,
money
and
goes to
I
the
say
state
this
account.
as I say this as someone who has a bike and
Sure.
regularly wear a helmet. In fact, I never ride it without a helmet. You fly off that bike, I'm going to hospital either fucking way. So, what is legislation's actual purpose? Is it to generate additional income, or is it to mandate safety?
Bit of both. It still could help, right? You might get fucked up coming off that bike either way. Protecting your head is important.
So, someone chooses not to wear a helmet, they're going to get fucked up. That's on them. I agree, it's a safety concern. Do I think it needs legislation? No.
If we can reduce some of the foot traffic in the hospital.
My point being, you won't. Mandating helmets won't reduce injuries from motorcycle incidents.
Okay.
Again, own a bike, wear a helmet every time, and I'm in hospital a lot.
I got 2 more points that are probably Chief Justice Crane things. Attempted murder of a government employee.
Hold on. We like to discuss stuff here. If you still feel strongly about something, even if your discussion has been negative or you've received pushback, like in the form of Solomon, which is totally valid, you can still put something to a vote.
Yeah, I'd like to hear everybody on the motorcycle helmets because, like, honestly, I don't see a problem with it.
We voted for the DRIP Act. It would be in line for us to vote on something like this as well.
As someone that has been subject in the past to what used to be the mask mandate, the option to wear a helmet, indifferent with it.
I mean, I was thinking maybe motorized 2-wheeled vehicle, but if y'all want to add bicycles to that.
The Chief Justice holds sole purview over the penal code and allows the Council of 8. Well, actually, he's been pretty reasonable making changes to the penal code. Ultimately, it's his final review. So what we do is we make suggestions and then he will let us vote on it and blah, blah, blah. Moving forward, and one mistake I think that we made first council is that we focused a lot on trying to make adjustments to the penal code as opposed to innovate, I suppose. That said, Cletus, you're a cop, so I will give him a pass for suggesting changes to the penal code because you deal so heavily with the penal code that this is something relevant to the police department, blah, blah, blah.
The rider protection check. It is illegal to ride a motorcycle, ATV, or other cabinless vehicle without a helmet. The helmet does not have to be worn if the motorcycle or if the vehicle is not in motion.
Okay.
Oh, I love that actually.
What do you think for a fine?
I don't think it needs to be a big fine.
250?
Maybe, yeah, 250. No jail time, 1 point on your record.
I don't know if we should do
Is the driver going to be getting
Oh
fined
my
for both of
God.
them?
Nah.
Good
so
question,
case by case?
Cornwood. That's a great question.
The responsibility is on the person that chose not to wear a helmet, so you would be issuing the fine to the person that doesn't have the helmet on.
Cornwood was just asking how much we get. City council gets paid.
What's the value on that again?
It's not enough. It's like 1,000 an hour before tax.
Let's vote on it.
What do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Braun?
Yay.
Miss Siobhan?
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah,
Mr.
no.
Solomon? Okay.
No.
Miss Canter?
Yeah.
Please, can you note down who voted what thing that you just wrote up at the bottom?
Chief Justice Crane things. One of them was about the attempted murder of a government employee. Folks were asking for it to be higher, and then also criminal use of a firearm was not a felony, and it was causing some sort of confusion. So I'm going to save that for whenever Chief Justice Crane is here.
So my intention moving forward is to open up the sheriff's office and to establish the sheriff's office as it being its own chain of command, which creates some issues because commissioner has not been selected and cannot be selected. PCP is not currently active. 1.
2, there isn't a cop capable of doing the commissioner role that I personally would find satisfactory. And that's just based on all of my many interactions with the various cops, witnessing how they've interacted with the DOJ, witnessing how they've reacted to stuff on the street, so on and so forth. As a result, having 2 different chains of command has the potential for huge strife. Well, first of all, I don't think I can present PCP without Alan here because I need his insight on a couple of things. One of them primarily being, until a commissioner is selected, if there ever was an unresolvable dispute between the sheriff's office and the chief of police, that the mayor would act as a mediator to sort out the issue between these 2 chains of command and to allow for a final decision to be made, so that at the end of the day, the children yearn for the sheriff's office. At the end of the day, based on what I've seen and what I've heard and what I've exercised myself, is that the only motivator for activity for any government job is morale. The primary way that it could manifest right now is by way of the sheriff's office being opened. There are cops who identify as deputies and not officers. There are police officers who they are very keen on being able to wear a different uniform. And ultimately, that is what it would be, because the sheriff's office would be operating in the city as well. Our current police department does not have the numbers or units to be able to justify, for example, the sheriff's office operating on a different base channel or not ever entering the city to help respond to calls, so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, it gives them that uniform and hat that they so crave. I don't know how to put this delicately.
Save flat out.
There exists different styles in schools of thought when it comes to police work. Whoever would be elected sheriff, it would be a public elect. That was even something that the 3 captains of the LSPD were looking to have happen, and something that we pretty much agreed would be the case. There are different schools and styles of police work. It stands to reason that if someone is elected sheriff, that they might be able to offer a different perspective on how that police work should be carried out. And it's this different perspective that might help solve current issue that the LSPD is currently facing. And that is, they are not effective, not by any means. And that is due to a number of reasons. 1, numbers. 2, motivation to get out there and do something other than sitting around Legion Square and handing out speeding tickets. I was trying to solve the chain of command issue. The first suggestion,
brother, you're never going to
was that the sheriff would be equal in power to the assistant chief, so that the current chief of police would be allowed to make final decisions. That has
existed for years.
That ended up being kind of cumbersome. The next solution was to appoint a commissioner. In my searching and witnessing, there is not anyone qualified for that position, in my opinion. I could be wrong. So the principle that I and my wife and a lot of people, even Canter, that we like to exercise, the first hurdle that we as the Council of 8 was this: we couldn't get hung up on what ifs. And as a result of that, I decided last night, after speaking with Cletus and hearing his thoughts again for the 10th time on the sheriff's office, that establishing the sheriff's office, which would be the primary purpose of reenacting PCP, would serve the simple purpose of raising morale. Raising morale is and should be the primary concern of pretty much any government worker head, like division head. I wanted to get this out of the way now because I don't think we can vote on this without Alan here. I will say that he has shown interest in the last meeting in continuing the PCP if I were reelected. That said, he has to be here for that to be voted on, which sucks, because it was my intention to immediately afterwards push for the sheriff elections. I can speak with Alan. Unfortunately, I think we have to wait until next week.
Wouldn't it make more sense that when you aren't around, let's be honest, me and you do seem to keep very different schedules, that if the deputy mayor was also on the PCP, they can act on your behalf, which is one of the duties of the deputy mayor, and thus feed to you the goings on and enact for you to the PD when you are not around. Thus, it's not both of us trying to go up the same chain, but rather me operating on your behalf and then feeding up to you, so then you as a singular can then go up the chain.
The PCP originally was only intended to be around for the first term, the mayoral.
The sunset clause.
Yeah, and really there was no intention originally of extending. What's happened so far in the last 5 months, the city being open back up, the government opening back up, I think it has a lot of movement, ups, downs, lefts, right, and there's a lot of different experiences that come with that. I really don't, and this is coming from the perspective of someone who's been there for the whole thing. It's a lot to put on somebody's shoulders. It's a lot of responsibility to give to any one person who hasn't been there for that entire time. I mean, I think just being 100% 100% honest, to have anybody other than Mayor Thoroughbred involved in a continuation of the PCP, or I mean anybody else who hasn't been there from the very beginning, I don't think it makes sense to have them on it.
I will say that the original vision, Michael and I ended up aligning on a lot of things. You and I, Solomon, do not align on much.
Are you sure about that? We've not had a conversation yet.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I'm going solely based off of your campaign posters, which proposed the dissolution of Dogtown, which is something that I pushed for, PD reform, which implied that the PCP had failed. There were a lot of things that I did not think that we would agree on it, which is a good thing.
I'm not asking a quick question. Do you think no more police reform is done, and that we are now at a point where the PD is in a stable state and there's no more oversight or direction from the mayor's office?
No, it totally.
Look, we agree.
It totally does.
So we agree. We both agree that PD reform is ongoing.
I'm not trying to say that it's a bad thing I'm trying to show you what my initial impressions were. The point is, the way that mayoral election was supposed to work is that the majority of voters would have a voice in the form of the mayor. The other group of people that end up voting for second place would be representing those people. Okay, so that together, even if our opinions differed from each other, we would be representing the majority simply by presenting different viewpoints and whatnot. And that is important because the deputy mayor, in regards to the original vision that Alan Crane and Lila Wright had when they conceived of the Council of Eight, is that we would be opposing parties, and that functionally us working together on this might not be possible, and it has the potential to be bogged down by games of telephone, and it has the potential to slow down the process. I have a direct line right now to the federal government. I'm not saying that you couldn't. I know it needs to be done. Michael didn't do anything. In fact, I don't know why it's not that he didn't want to do anything. It was that I had to say, hey, and he wasn't super aggro about it, but occasionally a suggestion would come across the table where he was like, we should do this about the hair color stuff that was going on in the PD for a little bit. I was like, listen, that's not necessarily our purview. We are here to, like I said, light the signal fire. So that's why Deputy Mayor was removed from that. Because
okay, so I don't mean to cut you off, but if the last Deputy Mayor was inactive and didn't do much with it, I don't think you should be judging any following or subsequent Deputy Mayors based on the actions or inactions of the previous one.
I just want to address something you said, Solomon, real quick. The position that carries out the mayor's goals on a day-to-day basis, acting as an evangelist for their principals when they're not around, is the chief of staff.
I didn't say that.
No, it was just something saying that, representing him when he's not around. That's me.
Ian, you also are around when he is, and not when I am.
Not in there.
What I've experienced is that there isn't really an issue that would require you to address, or even an issue that, like, the only pressing issue I think I ever addressed, courtesy of the PCP, was making sure the Captain Ruth. Oh my God, Cornwood could explain this perfectly if he wanted to. The only thing that I did, and it was technically out of the scope of the PCP. Technically, I overstepped in overruling Cornwood's firing. Cornwood, you can explain it perfectly.
Well, I'm going to explain it in as few words as I possibly can. I mean, there was definitely some targeting that occurred due to, my style of policing being perceived to be a certain way. However, I think, we can all agree and we can all see from the outside perspective, and what really matters is how the people in the city, how they perceive how I'm doing my work, right? Bottom line. And eventually it led to me receiving a indefinite suspension upon review. Over the course of that suspension, it was learned to actually, and even after the fact, there was some shady shit going on involving my suspension that should not have led to me getting suspended. And then finally,
saying what happened is important for why I stepped in. So what was the shady shit?
I mean, there was times where I received disciplinary action for things that were either didn't actually happen. I mean, things that were misconstrued, or stories were left out, like reports were left unchanged when they should have been changed, which actually led to me receiving that final DAP, which then led to me being suspended in the first place. Right before my other DAPs were going to fall off, Mayor Thoroughbred stepped in, was whenever there was a review panel amongst the senior officers. I mean, what at the time was seen as command. And there was not a single officer in that meeting, other than Captain Slacks, who voted for me to not be fired. There was not a single other officer who was a part of my shift that I interact with the most. There were two other seniors brought in who had nothing to do, very little to do with it.
Who were promoted by?
One of which was promoted by Captain Ruth. The other one was promoted, I believe, by Captain Turner, and Alice Watson voted to keep me. In fact, I spoke with Alex Watson afterwards, and supposedly Alice Watson gave him a mouthful and said, "What the hell are y'all doing here?" But, I mean, that's why Alice Watson's a sergeant now, is because she knows what the hell she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically there was a situation where, I mean, it was pretty obviously stacked against me to get fired. And then that's whenever Mayor Thoroughbred stepped in and flipped Captain Ruth's vote to be that of whatever Captain Slack's vote would be, which led it to be a majority vote in terms of me staying. So that's as few words as I can do.
That was as few? Okay, wow.
Yeah, I know, that's a lot.
As
a lot.
That was the opposite of a few. Anyway, I think as the mayor mentioned before, this is something to be tabled for when Chief Justice Crane is around. I will make the same points to him when he's in the room as I'm making now.
My hope was that we would be able to kind of get on the same page before it actually goes to table next time, so that it doesn't take as long as it. Because the first time we brought this up, it took like 2.5 hours to get through. Yeah, TJ, what's up?
By old technicality, yeah, it's sunsetted out and it's not active at this point. So, and something just to think about before the next meeting and have those discussions is obviously when you're not mayor, when that goes away. By technicality, is the chief of police actually not even a thing at this point?
No,
it isn't.
Well, because it was appointed as a mayor.
I meant yes. The chief of police does not answer.
Or no.
So just as a forward-thinking side to it, when this goes away, the power to be reinstated or power to be stated back to whoever it needs to be should be entered into that legislation there.
If you have any suggestions, you can make up a new document and then.
Well, here's my question. What is the concern with, instead of it saying deputy mayor and mayor, it's saying just the mayor? Like, what is the baseline concern with only the mayor being on there?
As I mentioned, the mayor cannot be around for 24 hours a day. That is physically impossible. And me and him occupy wildly different schedules. I would also argue that in a matter like the PD, and I think me and the mayor would probably agree on a lot more reference to PD than either of us thought we would when we first walked into a room together. But it is my belief that I think sole oversight over the PD, given it is a 24-hour department, is not the best course of action for the department. And I would also argue that, I've got no intention of kicking things up, crossing over communication paths, which the mayor mentioned was an issue before, and in fact working as closely with you, Mr. Mayor, as humanly possible on this. And I think if you were to give me an opportunity on this, I think you would be surprised at just how well we would work together.
Also, Shift 1, according to y'all, seems to need the help. So might as well
I would
get
also
someone who
state
can
that
watch
is
it.
very true.
Shift 1 needs a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, that one might be harder to get.
That's the thing, though.
I know, guy.
We aren't supposed to be like an active presence. And the whole reason I brought the Cornwood situation was to highlight that should have been cause for reprimand for me. That just trying to
facilitate movement.
Right. Which is why I don't think 24-hour coverage needs or is necessary. Anything that did happen would be able to be addressed by one person alone, which I can confirm because I was the one person alone for the last 3 months. Going in circles on this probably. So we can move on and table this until next week. Cletus, did you have anything else?
Nope.
All right, I got a couple of things. The lawyers have brought me quite a few bits of feedback here and there. The main one, which, Mr. Mayor, I don't think this is actionable on your end, but I do want to air it out, is apparently you can kind of make adjustments to the penal code, and Cornwood can speak to this too. Lawyers and cops are having trouble syncing up on the times and fines right now. Again, you might not be able to do something about this, but I just want to air it out and see what people have to say.
I can do a temporary fix. And what that would be is that the state will have to pay more money. Okay, so let me explain how this works. The mayor's office has the ability to adjust times and fines, and it's supposed to be reflected in real time in the MDT. What's happening is that the MDT is originally and initially showing the correct time and fine when you first add the charges to a person's MDT profile when you're in the incident report and you're processing them. What happens at some point, I forget what triggers it, it defaults back to the original values before they were adjusted. And that's what's getting fucked up. So what I could do is I can go and what will happen is the fines will be lower and the time will be higher, which will then make it so that the MDT will no longer be switching between these two values. That is the fix that I can do. So it is
because what I'm hearing is that both police and lawyers are having trouble with this, and it's making cell reps really difficult and stuff. So there's a workaround. That's awesome.
There is a workaround right now, and what that is as soon as the cop adds the charges, they take a picture of the value, the fine value, and the time value, and technically the correct number. But I'm gonna go fix that right now.
Wait, hold on. What's the correct number? In the charges or in the whenever you go back and forth is the correct one?
The values are changing after you've been in the MDT for a certain amount of time, and I'm pretty sure they're changing in both the incident report and the actual charges.
Okay.
So both numbers can be right and wrong depending on what state of the MDT you're in.
I can speak to this because I spoke to the IT guy last night after a situation with a lawyer. No. I was told the charges are likely changing because of something that's happening with your newfound powers over the last month.
Right.
Mayor Thoroughbred. So because that is changing, it is.
The other stuff, a lot of it sounds like just stuff I need to follow up with Malton's paperwork, but it's like inconsistencies between the number of days for a Malton request in somebody's document. It says 5 days and somebody's document 4 days. So I might have questions about that if there's insight, but
I got a
really?
question about the Malton process.
Yeah.
Why don't we name that the Murphy process? Because that motherfucker didn't do shit.
Oh,
I'm
no
gonna
one's
be going
safe right
through
now. You're just
all
throwing
the
them out
stuff.
there, aren't you, Max?
God damn.
I'm chasing down all the little inconsistencies. The main question I have, maybe Cornwood or the mayor can clear up here. The Malton requests. I'm hearing from basically lawyers that they're being told that dispatchers can honor those requests, but then when they go to get them, only certain dispatchers are able to fulfill them. But there's nothing really like that I found written about that. Does anybody know like what I'm talking about?
I know about it, but not
Honestly,
from Malton.
Not really. I don't think it was the
Okay.
general concept I'm aware of, but I don't know the details.
Yeah, I'm just trying to catch up with this stuff because like there's different numbers of days being referenced by different departments. So I just had questions about that. The only other thing that I was told to mention, the lawyers brought up a bunch of stuff that doesn't necessarily come here, but the judges did mention that they wanted a pay increase. And it's what
Okay.
the judges brought to me.
Do you think they deserve it?
I didn't have much time to think about that. The judges that brought it up to me were also sort of being very adversarial with me at the time. So mostly saying that I hadn't done enough for them yet and that they need more money. That's about all they've contributed. The lawyers have given me a lot of valuable feedback. Judges basically told me to go fuck myself and that they want more money. Hi, judges.
So,
Damn.
can I just, when it comes to the money side to it, obviously everyone's going to want more money. That's inevitable. I don't know how much we're at budget-wise. I haven't looked at anything. Max, we probably got to talk about this at some point, by the way.
Sure. I will say, after not investing into sanitation, the profits are through the fucking roof right now. Like, super through the roof.
Man, going open market with investing over here in terms of mayoral spending. But yeah, so as long as I can get a guideline as to where we're at with things and then what we can actually play with shit, I mean, that's my only concern with blanket everyone wants more money. Like, can we afford that technically?
I will say we can afford that because most judges are lazy and do not even spend time in Los Santos.
That hurts my soul right there.
I'm sorry, but it's
I like the
truth.
idea of what Canter
Like,
was saying
I've seen Norman and Murphy and Anastasia occasionally. That's it.
So Alan said to me last night that we would work on drafting up a spiff program for court. So I think that pay issue is going to be addressed without having to get into hours for judges, at least.
Okay, incentive.
Yeah, TBD.
He
Makes
was
sense. Probably
pretty.
like based on court case or something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fuck it. I mean, that makes
So let's talk more about the DOJ stuff when Crane isn't feeling unwell. The
Infirm.
only
Fair.
other thing
Fair.
that we can talk about that I have to bring up is my initial plans about law school. I want to work mostly with Siobhan and Cornwood for the PD side of things on that. But I want to bring Mickey Sinclair into it too, because he did a whole school already that was really fun for everybody. So I want to get his perspective as a lawyer, try to make it fun for everybody who wants to attend, make it inviting for people who aren't even necessarily trying to become lawyers when we do them, try to make it approachable and applicable to a lot of different lifestyles. That's
Great
kind
idea.
of what I have. My initial plan
stole my
is
ideas.
based around development, trying to recruit people.
That's why you said working
get
with
the right
me,
people in
because
the
you're
department
recording in on
to
my
make
action.
court and
Fine, I
sell
need your
reps.
votes.
A lot of
Good.
fun to be a part of, and also really productive for our city and for people's rights and freedoms. We got a morale problem. It's feeling a lot like lawyers versus judges. I think we need to iron some things out on that front, but nothing specific legislatively.
What you need is like a little sit down between everyone.
I need Crane to be here, to talk meaningfully on some of this stuff. Future proof, as you put it, for lifelong learning programs, because we're in a fluid legislative environment. So lawyers need to be recertified basically over time, right? I'd say quarterly reviews would be pretty good for the legal profession at this point.
Is it something that you would want to do yourself, or?
It would coincide with the law school.
Okay.
So basically, I'm designing this position that I'm in to synergize in a bunch of different ways. So I'm a practicing attorney, right? So as a practicing attorney, I can take paralegals or new attorneys, help them with their things, help develop them. You would have attorneys help do the law school quarterly and at the same time recertify on current new legislation, and they would all get like tested on the past session of new law.
I think that's a great idea.
I love that.
I had discussed also briefly with the chief of staff concept of trying to uptick cell reps a little bit, get lawyers more down in the cells. We discussed the potential for the necessary evil, obligatory incentives,
time off coupons
to call a lawyer. I want to put it that way.
I was thinking that police officers shouldn't be allowed to negotiate charges unless a lawyer is there.
If we can be so bold as that, then I'm good with that.
Expanded to legal aid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think the issue with that is, I mean, they have to present the charges in the first place. So just procedurally, they don't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but that's presenting, not negotiation.
No, I agree, but like, what's the lock-in point? You know what I mean? Like, you present them and it's locked in. Okay, I can't talk about it no more until a lawyer's here.
Something to think about. Something to think about.
I'm pretty against that because as an ex-cop myself, let's be honest, some of them are dog shit charges and don't know anything about it. And so there are times where you do need to point that out. There are some people around that are smart enough to go to bench trials and win them. I'm not a huge fan. Like, seriously, not being able to combat that or not being able to discuss it just feels, here's your shit, take it, and be on your fucking way and be done.
I think it could be good if there's like another wave of bar licenses issued. I think recently there was.
I was sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Do we have a rundown of how many bar certified lawyers there are throughout the day? Because what I wouldn't want to happen is that suddenly there's like a 6-hour period where anyone who gets arrested just isn't even afforded the ability to negotiate because
There's been a lot of lawyers around lately. I actually took a screenshot on my phone yesterday. There was 10 lawyers in town.
What if police officers weren't allowed to negotiate so long as there was a lawyer listed in the lemon list?
Ooh.
Obviously, I'm not a criminal, but to give benefit of the doubt, I've heard people complain to me about how much their lawyer fucked them. I know some people would have strong concerns about this. I don't know if that's true. That might just be them being a fucking idiot. I know some people would have very strong opinions about not being.
I mean, that sounds like a bar complaint, right?
There's a few parts to this. One, a lot of people doing crime, they don't understand the laws. Then they bitch and moan whenever. If you know the law too well, it's hard to, in good faith, act like you're dumb as shit and that you don't know the law. This is the truth. So when you have a lawyer, what happens to some of these guys, the police officer says, well, these are your charges. Then they're like, well, I don't want that charge, so I'm going to talk to my lawyer. And the lawyer is like, well, you did that shit. Then they get mad at the lawyer.
Chief of Staff.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you'd like to present?
Sure do. Okay. First, I got a bunch of stuff in here. I put like all my stuff in here whenever it comes to me or when I'm like speaking to citizens throughout the week and it's become clear that there needs to be an issue.
I will say the cabinet stuff will wait until next week because Alan needs to set up like permissions and stuff.
Well, I mean, we can still vote on it without having to hire anybody. We can do interviews.
That's fine. Okay, let's start with the cabinet then.
Oh, you want to start
no,
with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. It's the first meeting that anything I put in here, I'm super happy to collaborate on throughout the week. Like if you have any additions, just throw them below my working document and super happy to meet if you want to. And if you want to schedule time with me, I'm always just a phone call or email away. This was something that apparently Alan did conceive initially for the role because I'm chief of staff, but where's my staff? And this is codifying what that staff is and what their roles are in the mayor's office. I want to give everyone a second to read it.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm ready to vote yes on this because it says serving at their leisure. It's not like required for the state to function, and that's all that I care about.
So you said Craig needs to set something up like just what's the plan for this, I guess. Yeah.
So are these actual government employees then?
They would be government employees, so they would require to be individuals with no felonies, the same standards as the cabinet in that regard. I'm sorry, the council in that regard. To help support the goals of the mayor's office, I've done a lot of fucking work. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's an insane amount. I need help. I can't be everywhere and do everything all the time. It's overwhelming. I want to have people who are able to give like a pulse on the city and their respective departments.
First side to that, Secret Service is this now a deputized officer?
No, police numbers are thin. Can't spare officers to keep me attended. I've been kidnapped like 1 to 3 times a day for the last 10 days. Cornwood was really helpful, but he's got more responsibilities and...
Last two, I'm going to be blunt. That's kind of what I'm proposing to do with this role now. So I don't particularly see too much of a need for the last two if that's what I'm doing effectively.
We got Glenn in mind for this position.
I'm very indifferent with those two because I already have the thoughts to do those. And so I don't mind working with someone if that's the case. But yeah.
It would be working with them. It wouldn't be like me being like, but my secretary said this. It would be like two different data sets that we would be combining.
Yeah, I just don't want to go to a situation where essentially what is going to happen, you get the information, data from his side to it, I get it from my side as well. There becomes a disconnect as to who to trust with it, or information of where it's coming from, or what purview is. Get that if you want to have someone that is personally in charge of informing you of things as a non-biased and very neutral type of party, that is technically my side's my job. That's why I said I don't mind working with them. I just don't want a separation of it.
How do these positions get filled? Are you gonna have like an interview process?
Yeah,
Base it off
yeah. We'll
Okay.
do interviews. Yeah.
Who do you have in mind for the Secret Service job?
As someone who looked after the personal security for 3 mayor's offices 5 years ago, I would love to be in on those interviews for that position.
Okay.
I would prefer to have these like direct line to the people that are actually on the council, other than just like all going to one, truthfully. Like if you have Secret Service, that goes with Cornwood, right? I guess if you're gonna go with the other ones, I mean, press can go with whoever, but yeah.
Well, I think it should be the PD liaison. Like it should be like both, maybe, instead of just going straight to the PD liaison. Because if they want to go straight to Siobhan about something for the Secret Service, I think that would be fine.
It's my staff, chief of
Yeah, 'cause
staff.
it's
It's my
hers.
staff. It is not the council staff. It's my staff.
Why is it only your staff, though? I guess is the question. Why
Yeah,
would this
I
not
just don't
benefit the entire city through the council?
Correct.
Why is it only your staff? What does that benefit?
Like, I don't think you should be asserting yourself with commerce, labor, and finance. We have
When there
someone
are
doing that
other
already.
positions, yeah.
Correct.
See, that's what I thought. If it comes to the council, I have no issue at all. But why only under you?
Technically, it says Mayoral Cabinet, so it's the mayor and myself.
I don't see a reason for it.
I want to again just say that this was something that Alan had initially envisioned for the role. He's the one who gave me this idea, so that's why.
All right. Well, I think we should have him here with it then, if that's the case. I don't want to create two divisions of the same work being done by different people for the sake of just doing it.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea. Don't get me wrong. Like, this isn't a shutdown.
I mean, honestly,
I think that having two different people working on the same thing is important. They wouldn't be limiting your freedom to do your job, TJ, because I'm looking forward to working with you, because it seems already that you are leagues better and more possessed of initiative than the last treasurer. I've met a lot of talented people in Los Santos, and there have been many people that I wished I could bring on as a government employee to work with when it comes to legislating, comes to decision making, to keeping our fingers on the pulse of the city on large. Think of it more as creating an environment for us to collaborate.
No, sure. Believe me, I appreciate that.
Every single role listed in this cab, they are designed to better inform me on how to interact with various aspects of the city. And that's why it's called the Mayoral Cabinet, right? It is so that I can have a meeting with my Secretary of Commerce and Labor, Secretary of Finance, and maybe discuss the current state and trajectory of the economy of Los Santos. I can be better educated to go later meet with you so that when we discuss it, we can get some real fucking work done, instead of you having, for example, in theory, if I'm so far out of touch with it, you having to explain everything to me. What would be preferable is that we get the explanation part out of the way on my own time with my own secretaries so that we can get straight to work.
There are times there is one guy for the job. There's absolute times where it's valid. There's only one person working on something. It's just what it is. It has to be on a case-by-case basis. I think something like this. Yeah, but I do think something like this, what it does, and this is speaking from the perspective of the police department, an issue that the police department is having right now is that we used to have a lot very experienced people who ran shit. And those people are, they've unfortunately, some of them passed away, some have moved on. Police department was not in a position to where you had younger folks, like new blood, trained up properly to be able to take the torch and run with it right off the rip, which has caused us some problems within the PD.
And that's entirely fair. There's nothing wrong with that. Believe me, I'm not I'm not absolutely hating on it. I'm just trying to get the questions behind what is a thought as to why these are needed, so that it's explicitly clear,
so that I can most accurately do my job. I spent a lot of time. There weren't enough hours in the day to these secretaries are effectively, these are all things that the mayor should be good at. And I think I am pretty good at most of these. I'm good at talking to people to discover trends, and I'm good at with my fingers on the pulse of the city. I think I've figured out the economy pretty well. Not to say that there isn't room for improvement in any of these, and that's what my personal staff would be able to do. This is stuff that I could do right now, stuff that I have already begun considering to do right now. The purpose of this presentation is to allow these people to be classified as government employees so that they can receive a paycheck for doing the work, which I did discuss this with Alan last night, and I'm not going to put words in his mouth or anything like that. He suggested that so originally when I brought it up, it was I was suggesting that they be given a different sign-in so as to allow them to be paid for their work. Alan told me that probably wasn't possible, but that what could happen, they could be allowed to sign in as council members so that they're able to fill that role for me and do that work for me, have access to the reports to contribute even more to our burgeoning government. And it seemed like things were above board. That's why we are presenting this.
I will add that the Secretary of Finance position was not there until last night when Alan suggested it. So that was a newer addition. And I can't quite remember his rationale at the moment, but I remembered that it was sound.
Yeah, not having it would be, this conversation kind of hurts. So having that would be nice.
So they'd be on the same pay rate as us. I'm assuming there'd be some check here to make sure they're actually completing all of these duties with the time allotted to them. No, there's obviously concerns there. Right, so they should only be signed on when requested to work with you, or is this just something where people are gonna sign on and hang out and wait for you to call?
These are trusted positions held to the same standards, right?
There's a hell of a lot of people
as us
in
when
that
it comes to
trusted position.
the lack. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot of people in this room too, right? With no felonies, right, of any kind. So they are being held to strict and high standards. I mean, I'll give you an example right now. For Secretary of Parks and Rec, I am thinking of like Andy Jones, right?
Okay.
Especially Pride is coming up. We need to plan Pride. We got less than a month now to plan Pride. We need to have events. We need to get stuff going. Andy's going to be a perfect person to assist with that. And I want to make sure that she's compensated for the amount of work that she's going to do when she does that, because it is a lot of effort.
She's a doctor, so you can't steal her. That's fucked up.
I will say,
okay. But yeah,
I don't even give a shit if these people are signed in all the time, because at the end of the day, if they're making $900 an hour, they could instead be making $4,000 an hour towing.
Okay,
you know
so
what I'm saying?
raise our doctor pay. You want to keep us at 500, but you want to hire these 6 people that can sit there doing potentially nothing all the time for 900?
Yeah.
And, okay,
you
justify
have been given, I have.
Not nearly enough. I was willing to let it go because of the raise of EMS pay, but if we are requesting more government funds to go towards things that I don't see completely necessary, it's fine if we want them. That's okay. How does that make it reasonable to leave us with 500 when we have to actively be saving people's lives every second of every day?
Do you think I shouldn't have staff?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying raise our pay. That's different.
Let's put it to a vote. As written now, I would like to establish these roles to be interviewed, which I would love to collaborate with you guys on. All of you are welcome to sit on those interviews if you want. I move to classify these people to be announced, whoever they are, who must be free of felonies, to assist my wife and I in the many multifaceted aspects of operating government in Los Santos as government employees, to be paid the same as council member. I am a yay, Mr. TJ Walker.
I'm a nay because I haven't heard from Crane's side, it's his brainchild.
It's my brainchild.
The hell? I'm being told.
Well, specifically said it was Crane's idea.
No, Crane
Everybody initially envisioned for the role.
The reason that there was not a staff for the mayor is because it was too weighty to fill out 16 roles as opposed to 8. All of you could have your own staff. We are taking the initiative. Mr. Solomon Walker.
I'm gonna be a nay for now.
Miss Philippa Canter.
Nay.
Mr. Cletus Cornwood.
Absolutely yes.
Mr. Head of Bar Braun.
If those positions are accountable, same as any other, then I'm good with it.
Chief of Staff Siobhan Thoroughbred.
Yup.
And I vote yay. The motion to establish the mayoral cabinet as government employees has passed.
All right. Next week I will bring forward my staff that I will propose.
Well, shit, I want a staff.
Yeah, why don't we all get it then? Fuck it.
We could.
I'm not trying to be difficult with it. I'm just trying to get the full clarification of this stuff, right? This is like the first time I've been hearing about this. So the historical components with it. If you don't bring people in, parks, recs, etc. Nancy Drew back in the day did a fucking amazing job with that. I know Andy is always planning shit, and that's great. How everything functions with it, and not hearing kind of the side of Crane who was putting this stuff together, that where I needed to hear first.
Okay. All right. What else?
Whistleblower Protections Act. This is essentially an act just expanding some of the powers of the Civilian Oversight Board to actually provide protections to whistleblowers, since they already hear, certain complaints and whatnot, and to provide and extend protection for anonymity when it calls for it. And since it's at a bar, I figured out the DOJ can figure it out Any
Can the Civilian Oversight Board not do this? Isn't this their whole point?
When it comes to protecting whistleblowers specifically from retaliation by their superiors or colleagues, I wanted this codified. I think it's important due to the chilling effect. The chilling effect is a legal concept that the threat or fear of specific repercussions can cause somebody to not practice their civil rights or their civil duties.
What sort of protections then? Their identities, the ability to report certain information anonymously, report their whistleblowing activity to the head of bar, or head of civilian oversight board, which is the head of bar.
Right, yeah, but I'm specifically using the phrasing on civilian oversight board because I wanted to expand the power of the civilian oversight board.
For the police department to not have any whistleblower protection because there are a lot of people who cannot fly into Los Santos because they have a fucking cop visa. At times, it can be a bit scary to have that threatened. Like, if you're ever to witness some fucked up shit and you're like, okay, maybe I should tell someone about this, but they're afraid to tell someone about it because they're afraid that they're not going to be able to make it to Los Santos because they've been fired for telling someone about it. And that is a power dynamic that is absolutely fucking reprehensible to me. What do you think, Cornwood? You're a cop.
You are right about the fact that there is a legitimate fear for your job whenever you bring shit up. And it's not about an individual experience. I mean, hell, look back at what happened with me. I had a list of 12 names came to me that did not want to speak to command above my head. And I was nothing more than a fellow officer. And I kind of became their voice. I mean, hell, that's the reason why I'm sitting here in this chair today, because I had the most votes in the PD for the liaison position.
Right.
I wrote one word in my application, and it's because they know I get shit done. I think this is important, even if it's not like that anymore. And I do think that there needs to be something. There's got to be some effort made before it's, hey, this is bad, run away. There's got to be some effort made before it goes to place outside the department, but I don't know what. There needs to be something else here, but I don't know what it is. So I'm a yes, but I don't want there to be a situation where people are running straight out of the department and when there's some bullshit happening without trying to address a problem themselves.
And then just dealing with me all the time about it. Some anonymous dude is fucking telling me that you're a piece of shit, and then you're not hearing it from me.
What do you think?
And then then you have to deal with bullshit. You know what I mean?
Agree in an impassioned way with what the mayor said about protecting whistleblowers. Yeah, getting fired is fucked up if it's for some really gnarly reasons like that. I don't really like that, and I don't care for it. If Crane were here, he'd probably say something or other grumbly about how if you try to build around the one asshole who does awful, stupid shit, then you're gonna end up with a pretty fucked up house, man.
And
what do you think, TJ, about whistleblowers? I know that this is probably a matter near and dear to your heart.
Oh, it is.
An ex-cop.
I hate corruption in every single facet. I do not like misuse. That was the reason I left PD. Fuck all that. The reason I went on my whole terrorism shit. Heavily for the whistleblowers, against corruption shit. The point I have in there that it's the empowering to do what as it reports. Just because it reports you, what's the outcome? Do you have any authority to do so? Because to me, it just sounds like y'all having a conversation and, all right, here's some coffee. I'm having issues. Okay, cool. A glorified therapist? Like that's the only thing. I don't know what your goal is with that.
I think what the goal is to, once the whistleblower goes to the head of bar, aka the head of the civilian oversight board, and reports this, the report itself, if it's not actually happening, or whatever that investigation yields, finally, for the sake of the people of Los Santos, maybe even making the findings of that investigation public, obviously withholding the names of the people who reported it. The police department, as far as I've seen, because I was pretty involved courtesy of PCP and then going through with the interviews for chief of police and stuff, a lot of people had a lot of time to speak with me one-on-one at a neutral party. I laid it out with them. I was like, listen, you could tell me whatever the fuck you want. You gotta tell me what's wrong, what you've seen, egregious problems that need to be addressed. You can tell me straight up. None of them came forward to me with something like, hey, something whistleblower worthy. No one. So I think that's good. I think that this is a bit of future proofing, and I don't necessarily see a problem with future proofing.
My yes, but I think this is one of those things that you could probably pass now and you can cross the butt when you get there.
Afraid that there's gonna be people who are just being, for lack of a better phrase, little bitches who are gonna abuse this and just cause issues.
Yeah, and that's where
I'm trusting the head of bar to be able to do a fact-finding investigation and figure out what's credible and what's not. Right?
But then does he have to deal with bullshit, or should that be somebody within the department before it gets to him?
I mean, why not just put that into their questions and you guys
well,
work out
there's
those
4
details
people
of
on
how
the
that
civilian
works.
oversight board,
Yeah.
and apparently clerks can take those complaints too. But obviously, a whistleblower is probably going to go direct to me, and there's going to be fewer of them. So
I think
by the logic of how all the volume should be working, regular complaints go to the people beneath me, and then I should have plenty of time for whistleblowers to come to me directly, right? point. I'd like to see it cook a bit more. I'm spiritually a yes on this.
What do you think, Solomon?
Go with the header bar. Spiritually, yes, but I'd want to see it written out in totality so I know what I am saying yes to.
Okay, what do you think, Canter?
Sure, I don't have a problem.
We'll come up with a process, me, my wife, Murphy, and whoever else, if you're in City Hall. And then we can present the process at the next meeting, and then we can make our suggestions and input.
Well, also, what if you have a false whistleblower?
Yeah, see, it would, this
It's all in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can smell bullshit.
That too. Let's move on to the next piece of legislation. Is it the toe clamps one?
It is the toe clamps one. Toe clamps and new part 2. The only thing I've done is added an amendment for illegal towing and illegal clamping. The last line really explains what its purpose is to empower the courts to disincentivize illegal towing and illegal clamping of illegally parked vehicles. I'm also open to suggestion. It could just start at up to 10 times and then be even higher than that.
Why 10 times?
It needs to be heavily disincentivized. It's become like a pervasive problem.
Didn't we just talk about this with Cornwood shit earlier?
We did, and this was in the same vein and the same like heartbeat of that.
That's PD though.
It just wasn't really. That was PD.
General.
This is general. This is empowering.
I'm a yes on this.
Would you be down to merge those two ideas together and add a couple lines into this for the PD vehicles?
I have to abstain on literally all of this. I'm a biased clamper, guys.
If he's biased enough against tow trucks, I gotta be.
No, you're not.
Do
Shut
I
the
have to
fuck up.
abstain?
No, you're not. Shut the fuck up.
I can go get everyone food since I have to abstain on this anyway.
Thoughts? I mean,
Yes.
yes?
Yep.
We're all big fans of this?
Yeah.
What was the report number?
I would just merge it in with the other one. 10x seems kind of, I don't know all the actual cost with that. What's 600 to get it out or something like that? So it's 6,000?
Yep, it's just to make sure you're not illegally towing legally parked vehicles, and that's just in punitive damages. Other damages may apply, right? So
this has
I'm
to
not
then
limiting the
be
courts, I'm just empowering them.
Yeah, so this has to be seen by a judge, right?
Yep, not changing anything, advocating for adjudication occurring.
Other damages, I'm guessing if there's any like transportation, damage to the vehicle, body, etc.
Yep.
So
other
this
damages.
it seems civil.
It's purely for civil. It's to empower civil courts.
What do you think about adding that red right there?
So it seems more like a guideline than anything else.
Okay, police vehicles are exempt from being booted or towed.
No, like we don't want police vehicles exempt from being towed, right? Because if
without a police authorization,
if you head pop and you don't come back and you're like fuck it, and your car's in the middle of the road, it's got to get towed. So
I would just say police authorization.
Police.
The
Agreement that we came to was in police presence. If the cop comes up to you and says "fuck off," then you fuck off. Like it's a lawful order at that point.
I think the phrasing that was just added works. I mean, I would love to put this up to a vote if everyone else here is sufficient. Or does anyone else have any other additions, comments, concerns, questions?
No, not really.
Okay, yes, just a formal vote. TJ.
Yeah, that's fine.
We expected this one to be a little longer. Right?
Hang on, did you say we expect this one to be longer?
Trey told me this was going to be a quick one.
I personally did expect this one to be long because wasn't the first one
me
super
too,
long,
me too.
right?
Yeah.
The first
we
one
have
was
a
like
lot to
7
go
hours,
over.
right?
Yeah. Oh, no,
Handicapping
it
Bobby
wasn't
and
that
Carmine.
bad.
Okay, Solomon?
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, Canter?
Yep.
All right. Cornwood?
Yay.
Murphy?
Yay.
And then I'm yay. Passed. Okay, next. Okay, so this is a working one. I'm not ready to present it by any way, shape, or form. That was pretty much everything. This is just like a heads up for next week. Please, I would love to collaborate with any of you on this, is tenants' rights. I think that's something that might need to be getting established in the near future. I've been hearing some things on the streets that would lead me to believe that this might be necessary.
Something was brought to me. We can wait for this discussion if you prefer, but it's worth bringing up in regards to this. Someone suggested that this might be, like a lot of your other legislation, purely self-serving due to the fact that you were attempting to get a loan, and part of that loan might be that the house be owned by another person. So you're trying to legislate the fact that they will not be able to take it away from you if you do not pay. Hey, it was suggested.
Lol? No. No.
Okay, so what is the reason?
The reason is because of people like Joseph Arrowhead, because of people like Billy Thorne.
But not Mr. K, the people you were trying to legislate giving them tax benefits in the past.
No, this was just to make
so
sure
what's
that
changed?
This was just to make sure that people weren't being fucked over. That's it.
But you were willing to fuck people over in the past.
No.
So the retake's fine.
That was more of a rent-to-own
not this
agreement,
one.
and I think that there was a huge misunderstanding due to the fact that I wasn't able to actually present that as it should have been presented.
That is true. If I remember correctly, Max, by his own words, didn't know what it said, which was unfortunate. But
yeah, so anyway, I'm happy to collaborate with anybody on this throughout the week. Just ideas, floating those types of things. If you're concerned that that might be a thing, happy to work with you on, ensuring that that legislation doesn't benefit me in any way, shape, or form. Because no, that literally neither of those things had anything to do with each other.
Sure.
Correlation does not equal causation.
Hey, that's all right. I believe you. I just wanted to bring it up since it was
Logical
brought to me.
fallacy. I literally just wrote the first sentence. I wanted your feedback on this. Like, I just wrote the first sentence. I wanted to work with council members on this because I think this would fall underneath underneath everybody's interests and purview.
This act establishes tenants' rights in Los Santos with respect to landlord-provided housing accommodations. So
I think we've got to figure out how to defend against squatters.
Well, this is more about like people who've invested in homes should have some safety in their domiciles.
I mean, hell, you take a step further. I mean, stand your ground, castle doctrine.
I was thinking about when
That's
there's
a
a
separate
death.
thing.
I'm not trying to do wills and testaments, but I was thinking about when there's like a death. So I wanted to work with other people. So no, this has nothing to do with me. That's why I brought up Joseph Arrowhead's name in particular. TJ, you know, I'd be really interested in hearing your thoughts on this. Solomon, Canter, Cornwood, Murphy, honestly, all of you.
Anytime I'm not like absolutely just dead mentally.
No, absolutely. Okay, yeah, no problem. Earlier in the day is fine. Not tonight. This is later in the week. That's all I'm just throwing out there. I will reach out to you later. Okay, well, I think that's everything. I think the meeting is adjourned.
Yo,
Does
what
anyone
about
else has anything
Tuesday?
else?
Is everybody good Tuesday?
Yeah, it looks like Tuesday. Tuesday?
Yeah,
I would love
Tuesday works.
I'm so fucking tired, chat.
You know better. One just last thing real quick. You know better. Please, God, don't ask my doctors for medical equipment anymore. I've already had to fire one. I don't want to do that again. Amori was good.
I have no idea what you're even talking about.
She admitted to it, so. No,
I really have no idea
not
what
at
you're
this
talking
point.
about because I did not ask for anything.
You
Well,
took
I'm
it
sure-
from her. So, or she admitted to something that she didn't do.
Well, anyways.
You have you know, your own house.
Good
to keep
meeting.
Clean.
See you guys Tuesday.
Yes, I am, which is why she is. Yeah, I think we're good.
She fired my pocket doctor.
Oh, I went and got food for everyone.
Yeah, they all just left. I'm sorry.
This is bullshit.
Wait, just do this over and over.
Beaten and defeated.
Oh my lord! Defeated.
No,
You know what?
we're in conflict right now.
You know what?